Chapter 1050. The Star-Stepping Tower Master didn't even look at Inueshu. Clearly, he didn't care about her. He still looked at Ningcheng with a smile. Alchemy Sage Ning, it's not easy for you to come to the Star-Stepping Tower. Why don't you come to my place and sit for a while? Let me play the host. Ningcheng calmly cupped his fists and spoke. Many thanks to the Pavilion Master, but I still have something important to take care of, and will not be able to go today. When I'm free in the future, I'll pay you a visit again. Sigh. The Star-Stepping Tower Master gave out a sad sigh. I always felt that I had a special affinity with Pil Sage Ning, so I always thought that Pil Sage Ning was from the same hometown. That's why I didn't hesitate to offend Man Huishan to help you last time. Now that Man Huishan is a Dao Fusion powerhouse, I don't think my Star-Stepping Tower will be able to operate for much longer. My life is so bitter. It wasn't easy for me to find a stable place, but after a few days, I have to leave again. The Star-Stepping Tower Master's voice became more and more mournful, making people unable to help but sympathize with him. It was as if she had helped Ningcheng, but ended up being implicated by Ningcheng. Ningcheng calmly replied, Tower Master, you're overthinking it. I believe that as long as Tower Master takes out a few bottles of good medicinal pills, a Dao Fusion powerhouse would definitely help Tower Master stop Man Huishan. Ningcheng was ridiculing the Star-Stepping Tower Master. Wouldn't you help me for the sake of those 10 bottles of Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation pills? Besides, you didn't even lift a finger. The implication behind his words was that even if he didn't give the 10 bottles of Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation pills to the Star-Stepping Tower's Master, if he gave it to someone else, someone would definitely help him. The Star-Stepping Tower Master acted as if he couldn't understand Ningcheng's words and spoke with sincerity. Pil Sage Ning, this is what I need your help with. I want to ask you to help me refine a few furnaces of medicinal pills in case of emergencies. This woman's skin was really thick. Ningcheng was too lazy to continue talking with her. Putting on an expression as if he had received a message, he said, Oh, President Cheng is still waiting for me. I have to go back and heal my wounds. I can't talk to you anymore. Goodbye. While speaking, Ningcheng's figure flashed and appeared at the entrance of the Star-Stepping Tower. Bang! A powerful blocking force appeared in front of Ningcheng, abruptly blocking Ningcheng's path. Ningcheng's expression turned serious, and his domain instantly unfolded. At the same time, a long spear also appeared in his hand. Could it be that the Tower Lord wants to force me to stay? Has the building master considered the consequences? Ningcheng's tone was awe-inspiring, overflowing with murderous intent. If the Star-Stepping Tower Master dared to make a move, he would immediately call Tsun Rushuan to help. The Star-Stepping Tower Master's eyes changed a few times, as if thinking about Ningcheng's words. After a few breaths she smiled. How is that possible? Pil Sage Ning is the Heaven Essence Sacred City's Dao Essence Pil Sage. No matter how bold I am, I wouldn't dare to attack Pil Sage Ning. I really want to invite Pil Sage Ning to my place for a chat. We can be very good friends. Ningcheng stared at the Star-Stepping Tower's Master with a sarcastic gaze and slowly spoke up. You're wrong. We weren't friends before, and we won't be friends now. It's even more impossible for us to be friends in the future. If I make friends with someone like you, I might be stabbed in the back in the next moment. I still want to live a few more years. After Ningcheng finished speaking, he didn't wait for the Star-Stepping Tower Master to speak at all. With a turn of his body, the array formation restrictions blocking his path crumbled like paper. The next moment, Ningcheng disappeared without a trace. Since the Star-Stepping Tower Master dared to tear apart all pretense of cordiality and forcibly stop him, then she shouldn't blame him for speaking straightforwardly. Ningcheng had experienced a lot of people and things, and after interacting with the Star-Stepping Tower Master a few times, he understood that this woman was very powerful. Moreover, she was the kind of woman who wouldn't hesitate to stab people in the back for her own interests. He wouldn't have anything to do with such a woman, unless he was tired of living. Hearing Ningcheng's words, the Star-Stepping Tower Master's murderous aura overflowed from her body, causing the entire space to tremble under her murderous aura. In the end, she held back her killing intent and didn't dare to attack Ningcheng. Instead, she watched as Ningcheng tore through the restrictions and calmly walked away. After Ningqing disappeared, the killing intent in her eyes slowly disappeared, replaced by pain and unconcealable sadness. Seeing that the Star-Stepping Tower Master didn't attack him, Ningqing felt slightly relieved. After leaving the Star-Stepping Tower, and confirming that the Star-Stepping Tower Master didn't chase after him, he carefully put away a bead. After sending out Gong Shimao's medicinal pill, Ningqing returned to his cave on Sword 3 Mountains. Ningqing didn't investigate the destruction of Xian Xiu's pill building in Heaven Essence Sacred City, or the poisoning of Cheng Hotian. It wasn't that he didn't want to do so, but his strength was still too low. Even if he found out who did it, he couldn't do anything about it. Ningqing didn't go into seclusion to refine pills again. Some of the sects who had been blocked from visiting Ningqing once again came to Sword 3 Mountains Cave, and started to visit Ningqing. One after another, they offered to support Ningqing, but Ningqing declined them one by one. So far, he hadn't promised anyone except for the quota for the Sunken Fish Palace. If he couldn't get the quota, he would end up owing them a favor. If he got the quota, he could put it up for auction. He believed that the harvest would be even greater. 10 days passed by in a flash, and many powerhouses gathered outside the Heavenly Pill Gathering. A silver void airship stopped on the public square outside the Pill Gathering. Everyone knew that today was the day when the Grand Essence Realm Pill Gatherings Association Master, Situchen Xiutian, would bring people to the Grand Change Realm to participate in the 5 Realms Pill Competition. Ningqing sent off Cheng Hotian, and arrived at the Pill Association's public square. The Pill Association's association head, Sichen Xiutian, was already standing on the deck of the silver airship. Ningqing also knew the person standing next to Sichen Xiutian. He was Protector Ju, a late-stage primordial chaos expert from the Elixir Association. Behind Sichen Xiutian were the Immortal Corpse Sect's Dao Transformation Alchemy Sage Do Jiangshi, the Great Divine Pill Sect's Dao Transformation Alchemy Sage Jing Han, the Heaven Essence Sacred City's City Lord Mansion's Dao Transformation Alchemy Sage Le Shizhen, the Flaming Feather God Mountain's Dao Transformation Alchemy Sage Yin Kuifu, and the Missing Moon Valley's Dao Birth Alchemy Sage Mei Shiwan. Pill Sage Ningshi is hard to invite. So many people are waiting for you. Seeing Ningqing come over, Jing Han spoke with an indifferent tone. Ningqing had stolen his limelight several times. Not only did he lose his face, but also caused him to suffer a great loss. It would be a strange thing for him to feel good about it. More importantly, Ningqing had attacked his Dao of alchemy, which was a deep hatred. Other people's alchemy Dao was improving, but recently he felt that he was regressing. He originally thought that in the Grand Essence realm, apart from Sichen Xiutian, he should be the #1 pill sage, and the #1 alchemy genius. Ningqing's challenge made him understand that even apart from Sichen Xiutian, he wasn't the #1 pill sage. He wasn't even the second. Because of this, his confidence in the Dao of alchemy had been destroyed by Ningqing. Especially when Ningqing refined the 6 Soul pill, he almost felt lost at that moment. Ningqing had wasted some time sending Cheng Hotian away, but he didn't care about Jing Han at all. Jing Han didn't deserve to be his opponent. His opponent was an expert from the Grand Change Realm. Sichen Xiutian saw Ningqing arrive and nodded with a smile. Everyone's here. Let's go. As Sichen Xiutian's words fell, the silver airship drew a silver fox in the sky above Heaven Essence Sacred City, and rushed out of the city. It soon disappeared into the void. The airship moved extremely fast, and rushed out of the Grand Essence Realm's shackles in a short time, and entered the vast void. Sichen Xiutian looked at everyone with a smile and said, "There aren't many people on this airship. Everyone can find a room you like. The teleportation array from the Grand Essence Realm to the 5 Realms Void City will take a few years." Mei Shiwan was the only woman representing the Grand Essence Realm in the pill competition. Moreover, she also had the lowest attainment in the Dao of alchemy. After hearing Sichen Xiutian's words, she immediately bowed and asked, "Association Master, may I ask where the 5 Realms Void City's teleportation array is? The periphery of the Grand Change Realm?" Sichen Xiutian chuckled. The 5 Realms Void City's teleportation array is just a teleportation platform in the void. But it's a planar teleportation array. This teleportation platform leads directly to a void sacred city called the Five Realms Void City. There's still a long way to go from the Five Realms Void City to the Grand Change Realm. Most airships heading to the Grand Change Realm will first enter the Five Realms Void City. After resting for a while, someone will take us to the Grand Change Realm. Mei Xiuan asked the question that everyone wanted to ask. No one asked anything else, and everyone went to the inner cabin to find a place to rest. Ningcheng had observed the silver airship as soon as he came in. It was a purely speed-type airship, even faster than his starry skywheel. Of course, his strength was limited, and he couldn't bring out the full speed of the starry skywheel. Every room on the airship had abundant spirit qi, and was in a good location. Ningcheng casually found a room, and directly arranged his array formation. A few years for a cultivator at the Sage Emperor level was just a single seclusion. Ningcheng wasn't in the mood to chat with the other pill saints. Jinghan didn't see eye to eye with him, and Do Jiangshi should have already been possessed. Besides, Ningcheng also didn't like the Immortal Corpse sect. As for Lu Shizhen losing to him, it would be strange if he could talk to him. He didn't know Yin Kuaifu and Mei Xiuan at all. No matter how many years the airship took, he had something to do. What he wanted to do was not to cultivate, but to refine the Void Cold Light Spear. He had once purchased a large piece of Void Cold Light Iron from Big Dipper Seven Peaks Mo Wenshang. Taking advantage of this time, he wanted to refine a Void Cold Light Spear. For a long time, Ningcheng didn't have a suitable weapon. He couldn't control the Nirvana Spear with his spiritual consciousness, and couldn't exert its power at all. As for the Good Fortune Divine Spear, not to mention that he couldn't refine it now. Even if he could, he couldn't. He lacked materials. Initially, he had bought the Void Cold Light Iron to refine a long spear. However, he never had the time. Ningcheng didn't immediately take out the Void Cold Light Iron to refine. Instead, he took out a pile of artifact crafting materials and started to refine a spirit artifact. His artifact crafting methods were still a bit weak. If he wanted to refine the Void Cold Light Iron into a top-grade weapon, he had to improve his attainments in the crafting Dao first. He wasn't the only one who could see the preciousness of the Void Cold Light Iron. Even Do Jiangshi, who had possessed him, could see it. This was a top-grade material containing Void Dao Charm. Compared to Dao fruits, it was many times more precious. The reason why Mo Wenshang couldn't sell the Void Cold Light Iron wasn't because of the materials, but because no one could melt this iron. The reason why Ningcheng believed that he could melt this iron, apart from his returning to One Dao and Celestial River Flame, was his law-breaking spirit technique. Chapter 1051. Ningcheng could already refine middle-grade spirit artifacts. Even high-grade spirit artifacts could be refined by chance. But now that Ningcheng concentrated on crafting Dao, coupled with all kinds of artifact crafting materials, his artifact crafting level soared in a short time. A year later, Ningcheng could easily refine top-grade high-grade spirit artifacts. It was just that the materials for top-grade spirit artifacts were too rare. No matter how rich Ningcheng was, he couldn't use the materials to refine top-grade spirit artifacts to practice. Otherwise, he could even refine top-grade spirit artifacts. I should be able to refine a Void Cold Light Spear now, Ningcheng thought as he stopped his practice, and took out the Void Cold Light Iron that was the size of a small hill. A cyan light radiated out, permeating with a chill. Under this icy aura, the space in the room even froze. When Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness came into contact with the hill-like Void Cold Light Iron, he could vaguely feel traces of Dao charm. Ningcheng raised his hand, and the starry sky like Celestial River Flame fell on the Void Cold Light Iron. As Ningcheng expected, his flame had already advanced to a spirit flame, but it still couldn't do anything to this Void Cold Light Iron. Even if it melted extremely slowly. At this rate of melting, even cutting open this piece of Void Cold Light metal would not be something that could be done in a few years, let alone forging a god artifact. Ningcheng had already prepared himself for this situation. If the Void Cold Light Iron could be cut so easily, then he wouldn't have needed to buy it. Many people could see the Dao charm laws contained within the Void Cold Light Iron. Moreover, this iron had to wait for him to buy it, so it naturally wouldn't melt so easily. Ningcheng was a primordial Dao pill saint, and cultivated the Tao of returning to one. He believed that whether it was the Tao of alchemy, crafting Tao, or array Tao, they all had something in common. Refining Tao pills required condensing Tao fruit laws. Now that he wanted to refine a spirit artifact, he naturally needed to condense the void Tao charm within the void cold light iron. As the Tao of returning to one permeated the void cold light iron, Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness began to capture the Tao charm aura within. Before Ningcheng could capture the Tao charm aura within the void cold light iron, an inexplicable force came from the void cold light iron. This force directly blasted into his sea of consciousness and formed an avalanche-like force in his sea of consciousness. This force started to fluctuate within Ningcheng's sea of consciousness, causing Ningcheng's sea of consciousness to feel extremely uncomfortable. So powerful, Ningcheng wanted to take back his spiritual consciousness, but found that his spiritual consciousness that had penetrated into the cold light iron had disappeared without a trace. Ningcheng was secretly shocked. This was his first time encountering such a powerful material. Fortunately, his spiritual sea was a starry sky spiritual sea. After advancing to the Tao birth, it was like a vast and boundless universe. The sudden avalanche power of the void cold light iron crashed into his sea of consciousness, but it was unable to cause any damage to it. No wonder no one wanted this void cold light metal. Even if they wanted it, it would be useless. If he did not know how to refine tools and gave this thing to someone else to refine a magic weapon, it would probably belong to that person's treasure. At this time, Ningcheng finally understood why Do Jiangshi wanted the void cold light iron. He most likely relied on his dark nether devouring spirit scroll. At this time, Ningcheng understood why Do Jiangshi wanted the void cold light iron. He must have used the dark nether spirit devouring scripture. The violent avalanche power once again rushed into Ningcheng's sea of consciousness. This time, Ningcheng was prepared and immediately cast the devouring cultivation method of the dark nether spirit devourer. The next moment, the void cold light iron structure and void Tao charm appeared in Ningcheng's sea of consciousness. The next moment, the void cold light iron structure and void Tao charm appeared in Ningcheng's sea of consciousness. It was extremely clear. The dark nether spirit devouring scripture also had such an effect. After seeing the void Tao charm of the void cold light iron, Ningcheng understood that this material was extraordinary. From this, it could be seen that Do Jiangshi still wouldn't give up on the void cold light iron. The reason why that fellow hadn't made a move until now was that his essence spirit and corporeal body hadn't completely merged. However, even if Do Jiangshi obtained the void cold light iron, he wouldn't be able to refine it into a weapon like Ningcheng. Ningcheng had the god-grade flame celestial river, but Do Jiangshi might not have it. He was a top-grade artifact crafting master, so could Do Jiangshi do it? Without the mysterious yellow bead and the mysterious yellow formless, even if Do Jiangshi wanted to learn artifact crafting, it would take him tens of thousands of years to achieve minor success. What's more, did Do Jiangshi have any law-breaking spirit techniques? After taking control of the void Tao charm and aura within the void cold light iron, Ningcheng's Tao charm erupted once again, and the law-breaking Tao charm completely wrapped around the void cold light iron. The aura of laws within the void cold light iron weakened at this moment, allowing Ningcheng to bring out the celestial river flame in time. At this moment, the void cold light iron felt like a piece of ice being roasted by the celestial river flame, and began to melt in just a few breaths. Ningcheng blasted the aura of laws into the melting void cold light iron. The void cold light iron continued to change shape in the space, and the cold aura grew thicker and purer. As time passed, Ningcheng's Tao charm almost merged with the aura of the void cold light iron. In his room, only the coldness of the void cold light iron, the aura of the law-breaking spirit techniques, and the terrifying temperature of the celestial river flame raged. One day, 1 month. Even after half a year, Ningcheng was still immersed in the condensation of the void cold light iron. Before he found a way to refine the spirit transforming spear, the void cold light spear would be his only offensive weapon. For this broken spear, Ningcheng didn't hesitate to waste his time. However, at this time, the void cold light iron had already condensed into a dark blue and gloomy long spear, while the array formation restriction lines were carved into the cold light spear by Ningcheng. causing the aura of the cold light spear to grow stronger and stronger. This was an extremely pure and cold murderous aura. With a clear and crisp sound resounding in the void, Ningqing opened his eyes with joy. In front of him was a dark blue long spear. Ningqing's spiritual consciousness hadn't penetrated the long spear yet, but the long spear exuded a cold murderous aura. It felt as if it could sweep up all the killing intent and laws around it at any time. A kind of call came from the long spear, giving Ningqing a feeling that it was connected by blood. Ningqing opened his hand, and the suspended long spear fell directly into Ningqing's hand, turning into a dark blue killing light that was only a few feet long. Sure enough, it was a top-grade spirit artifact. Moreover, it was a top-grade spirit artifact. Ningqing felt a sense of satisfaction in his heart. The void cold light spear could become a top-grade spirit artifact, not only because it took Ningqing half a year to refine this long spear, but also because of the materials used to forge this long spear. In fact, these were not the reasons for Ningqing's surprise. What made Ningqing happy was that he had a spiritual connection with this long spear. In time, this long spear would definitely give birth to an artifact spirit. No matter where it was, a weapon that automatically gave birth to an artifact spirit was a top-grade treasure. There were many kinds of artifact spirits for a weapon. Some of them were forcibly integrated into the weapon by the artifact crafting master during the artifact crafting process. It was not surprising for a weapon to have an artifact spirit. Only a weapon that could give birth to an artifact spirit was a true treasure of heaven and earth. Ningqing gently waved his hand, and the void cold light spear turned into a blue arc of light in the air. The cold murderous aura created a rustling sound in the surroundings. The powerful law aura hidden within the murderous aura made Ningqing feel even more satisfied. Very good, Ningqing thought as he put away the void cold light spear with satisfaction. He also put away the remaining void cold light iron. It was not until today that he finally had an attack-type weapon to his liking. With this void cold light spear, his strength would increase by a large margin. Ningqing did not continue his seclusion. Instead, he got up and opened the restrictions around his room. Ningqing had been in seclusion for a year and a half, and he had no idea where the airship had reached. Pill Sage Ning, after going into seclusion for a year and a half, you should have gained a lot, right? To Ningqing's surprise, as soon as he came out, Do Jiangshi's friendly greeting voice arrived. Looking at Do Jiangshi's expressionless and hypocritical smile, Ningqing felt a burst of weariness in his heart. He suspected that Do Jiangshi had been keeping an eye on his room. Otherwise, how could this fellow know that he had just come out? Ningqing casually nodded and spoke, "Not bad." After that, Ningqing ignored Do Jiangshi and went straight to the deck of the airship. Pill Sage Ning, wait a minute. Do Jiangshi did not care about Ningqing's indifference, and instead followed Ningqing to the deck. If you have something to say, just say it. If you want to fart, go back and fart. Ningqing's tone turned cold, and he spoke without any trace of politeness. Do Jiangshi made him feel disgusted. In any case, the two of them could never become friends. At this moment, Ningqing didn't even have the thought of feigning civility. Pill Sage Ning, Yin Kuaifu and Mei Xiuwan, who were standing on the deck and chatting, saw Ningqing come out and took the initiative to greet him. The two of them only said 2 words before they paused. Ningqing's words were too rude and impolite. However, the two of them also knew that Ningqing wasn't targeting them but Do Jiangshi, who was chasing after them. Do Jiangshi's face remained expressionless. Perhaps even if he had an expression, no one would be able to see it. Only Yin Kuaifu saw the murderous intent flashing in Do Jiangshi's eyes. Then he spoke up with a smile. Pill Sage Ning, I really do have something to say. Can we talk in private? Ningqing turned around and stared at Do Jiangshi coldly. There are no secrets between us. If you have something to say, just say it. If you don't want to say it, then I won't accompany you. He could see that Do Jiangshi's cultivation had completely stabilized and had integrated well. He had advanced from early-stage Dao transformation to middle-stage Dao transformation. Presumably, with this fellow's speed, it wouldn't take long for him to recover to the primordial Dao realm. When Yin Kuaifu and Mei Xiuwan saw that Ningqing and Do Jiangshi didn't get along, they quickly excused themselves and left. After Yan Kuifu and Mei Xiuan left, Do Jiangshi spoke up directly. Pill Sage Ning, I know that you have a piece of void cold light iron. I don't know if you can sell it to me. You can name the price. This fellow really wanted the void cold light iron. Ning Qing chuckled, turned around, and stared at Do Jiangshi before saying, the zombie you seized from the Immortal Corpse sect has nothing to do with me. But don't even think of using it on me. Otherwise, even if you seized my body, I would have smashed your essence spirit out. Do you want the void cold light iron? I'll give you 2 words, not for sale. Chapter 1052. After Ning Cheng exposed Do Jiangshi's possession, Do Jiangshi never came to find him again. He didn't even come up to the deck. As if they knew that Ning Cheng was not easy to get along with, the rest of the people also rarely talked to Ning Cheng. As for the leading Xichen Qiutian, he did not come out. Ning Cheng also didn't deliberately look for trouble with Do Jiangshi. Since he finished crafting the void cold light spear, he decided to stay on the airship to deduce the Tao of pills. Another half a year passed, and the spaceship stopped. Ning Cheng also stopped deducing the Tao of pills and walked out of the room. Xichen Qiutian also walked out. He wanted everyone to leave the flying ship and land outside a huge stone platform that floated in the void. This is the teleportation platform? Yan Kuifu asked as he looked at the massive stone platform floating in the air. Qiutian smiled. Don't underestimate this platform. Not only is it a planar teleportation array, but it's also protected by a top-grade array. Ning Cheng had already sensed the defensive array outside the platform. After experiencing the secret bazaar and the ancient fairy mysterious clan's concealment array, Ning Cheng realized that his attainments in the Tao of arrays were nothing compared to the vast universe. He couldn't even restore the teleportation array in the Grand Essence seabed, let alone arrange such a grand array. Xichen Qiutian took out an array flag, and an entrance appeared in front of the stone platform. Let's go in. This teleportation array can teleport us directly to the void city of the 5 realms. While speaking, Xichen Qiutian was the first to enter the teleportation platform and followed Protector Ju. Ning Cheng and the other 4 naturally followed them onto the transmission platform. Once everyone was on the platform, Qiutian waved his hand, and a stream of divine crystals flowed out. It was unknown how many divine crystals Qiutian had thrown at the edge of the platform. After the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, a burst of white light erupted around the boulder platform. The white light directly tore open the void space above the boulder platform and swept away Ning Cheng's group of 8. Ning Cheng had taken the transmission array countless times, but this was the first time that he felt that his spiritual consciousness could not even move, causing his entire person to fall into a state of dizziness. He didn't know how long he stayed in the teleportation space. When he woke up, he was already standing on the same giant stone platform. Seeing that there were still people coming and going around, Ning Cheng knew that they must have reached the 5 realms void city. Seeing that Ning Cheng was the first of the 6 participating pill saints to sober up, Xichen's Qiutian nodded with satisfaction. Ning Cheng didn't disappoint him. He was a Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor, but his Tao marks were far stronger than the others. Did you all come from the Grand Essence realm to participate in the 5 realms pill competition? Xichen and Qiutian had just walked out of the teleportation array when a Tao Transformation Divine Emperor walked over and asked with cupped fists. Xichen Qiutian nodded and said, "Yes, we came from the Grand Essence realm." "Then please follow me." The Tao Actualization Divine Emperor gestured and led them out of the teleportation tower. In terms of the concentration of spirit qi, the 5 realms void city couldn't compare to a major sect like the 9 revolutions sacred Tao Pond. In fact, it couldn't even compare to Heaven Essence sacred city. However, when Ning Cheng's eyes casually swept around, he could already see how strong the people here were. Tao Essence Divine Emperors could be seen from time to time, and even Primordial Essence Divine Emperors would come and go. The array formations and restrictions around these merchant houses were much more sophisticated compared to the merchant houses in Heaven Essence Sacred City. The Tao Actualization Divine Emperor led Ning Cheng and the others to a rest stop. Ning Cheng could see clearly from the outside that this rest stop was called the Great Change Rest Stop. You can rest here. When you go to the Great Change Realm, someone will come to inform you. The Tao Actualization Divine Emperor didn't even arrange a room for them. He brought Ning Cheng and the others here and immediately left. Sichen Xiaotian said to Ning Cheng and the others, "You guys settle in here first. I have some things to do. When you're free, you can go to the Void Marketplace. Don't create a rift with others. There are many experts here, and no one is simple." In fact, even without Sichen Xiaotian's words, everyone knew that no one here was simple. How could anyone who could come to the Five Realms Void Marketplace be simple? Ning Cheng vaguely guessed that Sichen Xiaotian must have gone to find some connections, because he brought one more person. The price of the rooms in the Great Change Rest Stop was the same, 10,000 God crystals a day. For a pill sage like Ning Cheng, even if it costs 100,000 God crystals a night, he could still afford to stay for a few months. "Brother Ning, I wonder if you have time to go to the Void Marketplace?" To Ning Cheng's surprise, Lu Shizhen, who had once lost to him, took the initiative to invite him. Ning Cheng replied politely, "I'm a little tired and need to rest." "Brother Lu, go ahead." "Big brother Lu, I also want to go to the Void Marketplace. Why don't we go together?" Mei Xiuan quickly said when she saw Ning Cheng refuse. Among the six, Lu Shizhen's pill Dao level was second only to Ning Cheng. It wouldn't be surprising if she became a primordial Dao pill sage in the future. Mei Xiuan was a Dao nourishment pill sage, so she naturally wanted to make friends with her. "Count me in too." Yen Kuaifu and Mei Xiuan were very close. Plus, he also wanted to go to the Five Realms Void Marketplace, so he didn't hesitate to recommend himself. Ning Cheng didn't want to cause trouble. He came to the Five Realms pill competition not only to obtain the wood-attributed top-grade God Spirit Vein, but also to see if Tsang Wei and Pan Qian were in the Great Change Realm. Pan Qian originally wanted to come to the Great Change Realm. As for Tsang Wei, according to him, he could only come to the Great Change Realm to open the Gate of Good Fortune. After returning to his room, Ning Cheng immediately activated the room's restrictions and continued to deduce the alchemy Dao. He lacked the materials to refine primordial Dao pills. Therefore, he could only deduce his alchemy Dao through the mysterious yellow formless cultivation method. After more than half a year of deduction, his alchemy Dao level had reached a new level. Unfortunately, he didn't have any Dao fruits to practice on. Ning Cheng didn't sit in the room for long before the room's restrictions were triggered. Ning Cheng opened the restrictions and looked at Protector Ju standing at the door in confusion. "Senior Ju, why are you looking for me?" "It's not that I'm looking for you, but the Association Master is looking for you. Hurry up and come with me." Protector Ju eagerly gestured to Ning Cheng, indicating that Ning Cheng should follow him. Ning Cheng had a slightly bad feeling in his heart. Protector Ju was a very steady person. Although he had a high cultivation level, he was never impatient or talkative. Why was he so anxious at this moment? Did something happen? "Senior Ju, did something happen?" Not far away, Jing Han and Do Jiangshi walked out of their rooms. Protector Ju said to the two, "It's nothing serious. You stay here and rest. I'll take Ning Cheng out for a while. I'll be back soon." Do Jiangshi's eyes turned. "Senior Ju, why don't we go together? With more people, we can take care of each other." Ning Cheng sneered. "You're just a Dao Transformation Realm cultivator. Yet you dare say that you can take care of each other? Dao Transformation Holy Emperors might be considered as powerhouses in the Grand Essence Realm. But in this place, they were just ants." Protector Ju didn't think too much about it and just replied casually, "All right, let's go together." Standing in front of the Grand Change Pill Meet's entrance, Ning Cheng realized where Protector Ju wanted to take him. After entering the Pill Meet, the four quickly came to the entrance of a hall. After entering the hall, Ning Cheng found at least 40 to 50 people in the hall. Situ Chen's Chiu Tian sat on the side of the hall with a slightly pale face. Ning Cheng was a Dao Essence Pill Saint, and his attainment in Dao pills wasn't something ordinary alchemists could compare to. He had even integrated the Dao of alchemy into the grand Dao of returning to one. Seeing Situ Chen's Chiu Tian's condition, Ning Cheng immediately understood that his Dao heart had been damaged. That chaotic aura not only contained the aura of his own grand Dao, but it also contained the Dao charm aura of the Dao of alchemy. Many powerhouses in the hall didn't care about Situ Chen's Dao Charm's chaotic Dao Charm. No one stepped in to help either. Everyone was just talking and laughing merrily. Association Master, Ningqing is here. Protector Ju walked up to Situ Chen's Qiu Tian and whispered. Situ Chen's Qiu Tian seemed to have recovered. Seeing the three people behind Protector Ju, he sighed slightly. Since you're here, sit down. Don't talk too much. No one felt strange about the arrival of Ningqing's group of four, nor did anyone say anything. Ningqing didn't know what happened. Back in Heaven Essence Sacred City, Ningqing knew that Situ Chen's Dao Heart of Alchemy had cracks. But now, Situ Chen's Dao Heart of Alchemy showed no signs of healing. Instead, it grew bigger and bigger. Situ Chen's Dao Heart was different from him. He cultivated the Dao of returning to one. He had only integrated his Dao of Alchemy into the Dao of returning to one. It was just a small part of the Grand Dao. But Situ Chen's Qiu Tian was the opposite. He had integrated his Grand Dao into the Dao of Alchemy. In the future, the further his Dao of Alchemy could go, the further his Grand Dao could go. Now that Situ Chen's Dao of Alchemy had cracks, it would be strange if his Grand Dao could progress any further. Sitting at the head of the table was a man wearing a purple robe. This man didn't care about Ningqing and the others coming over. Instead, he looked at Situ Chen's Qiu Tian and said calmly, "The first round of the pill discussion has ended. Grand Essence Realm Pill Association's Association Master Situ Chen's Qiu Tian fell at the end. He only managed to identify 12 out of the 20 materials. Association Master Situ Chen, do you still want to compete for a spot?" Situ Chen's Qiu Tian's hands trembled slightly. According to the previous rules, each 5 realms pill competition would increase some spots. As an association master, he was also familiar with the host of the 5 realms pill competition. Therefore, it wouldn't be a problem for him to get a spot for Ningqing. But what he didn't expect was that the host of the 5 realms pill competition had changed. Moreover, the Grand Essence realm wasn't the only one who wanted a spot. Therefore, this time, the Pill Dao competition would decide who would get a spot. In the first round, there were 20 kinds of divine grasses. But as the association master of a realm pill association, he only managed to identify 12 of them. Moreover, the association masters of the other realms also managed to identify at least 17 of them, which made the cracks in his heart of alchemy even bigger. Ningqing didn't ask Situ Chen's Qiu Tian about it. But after hearing the words of the purple-robed man, he vaguely understood the situation. Not waiting for Situ Chen's Qiu Tian to answer, Ningqing sent a sound transmission to Situ Chen's Qiu Tian. Association Master. Others might have recognized more. But there's only one association master. Everyone else has 5 or 6 people around them. Situ Chen's Qiu Tian understood Ningqing's meaning. It was to comfort him. He sighed, but before he could speak, the purple-robed man asked again. Does Association Master Situ Chen want to continue participating in the competition? Naturally. Seeing Situ Chen's Qiu Tian still not speaking, Ningqing spoke up without hesitation. Chapter 1053. Ningqing's words immediately attracted many people's attention. Even if someone wanted to say it, it should have been Sichen Qiu Tian who said it. Ningqing's words, to put it bluntly, were offending his superiors. Sichen Qiu Tian nodded to Ningqing with a smile, and then calmly said to the purple-robed man, "My Grand Essence Realm will continue to participate in the competition." Sichen Qiu Tian understood Ningqing's meaning. Ningqing knew that his alchemy Dao had cracks. The reason why Ningqing said it was to help him build up his confidence in the alchemy Dao. Ningqing's starting point was good, but Sichen Qiu Tian knew that it would be difficult. Once he failed, the cracks in his alchemy Dao would grow bigger and bigger, and it might even affect Ningqing. If he stopped now, it could be said that he didn't use his full strength. If he continued to compete, he would have a high chance of failing. Because Sichen Qiu Tian knew who the people here were. Ningqing was a primordial Dao Pill Saint, but there were not only primordial Dao Pill Saints, but also primordial Chaos Pill Saints. In any case, although Ningqing helped himself, it was also equivalent to helping Sichen Qiu Tian. Even if Ningqing failed in the end, Sichen Qiu Tian wouldn't be unhappy with Ningqing because of this. Union Master Sichen, Is this the alchemist from your Grand Essence realm who came to participate in the pill competition? The purple-robed man on the stage asked Ning Cheng. Not yet. He lacks a spot. I came here for his spot. If I offended you, please forgive me, Brother Kong. Si Chen Qiutian cupped his fists and spoke with a calm voice. This competition is a relaxed and casual affair. There are no rules as long as you win. The purple-robed man nodded and spoke in a calm tone. It was just as he said. If there were strict rules, then the first round of the pill discussion wouldn't have used this method to identify divine grasses, because this method allowed the people around him to communicate with each other. Brother Kong, please wait a moment. Just when the purple-robed man was about to speak, a dark-skinned man stood up and cupped his fists. Oh, what does Union Master Lu want to say? The purple-robed man asked. The dark-skinned man spoke up. I want to ask this Grand Essence Realm Alchemy Master a few questions. I have no other intentions. The purple-robed man smiled faintly. Of course. I've already said that this discussion of alchemy will be a relaxing affair. Everyone can just casually discuss the Tao of alchemy together. Ning Cheng wondered what this black man wanted to ask him when Sire Qiu Tian's voice sounded in his ear. This person is the Grand Beginning Realm Pill Association's Association Master Lu Dongsa. I heard that he's a primordial essence pill saint, but I've never seen him refine medicinal pills. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm afraid he doesn't have good intentions when he asks you questions. Be careful when you answer him. I am Lu Dongsa. May I know how to address this alchemist? Lu Dongsa's tone was rather polite. He was not aggressive at all. Ning Cheng cupped his fists. Grand Essence Ning Cheng, if Dao friend Lu has any questions, please enlighten me. Lu Dongsa was infuriated. Ning Cheng was only a Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor, while he was a Primordial Essence Divine Emperor. A Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor dared to call a Primordial Essence Divine Emperor Dao friend instead of Qianbei. Coupled with Ning Cheng's previous words, he was even more certain that Ning Cheng was a madman. Pill Master Ning just said that the reason why other people can recognize more divine herbs is because there are more people, right? Lu Dongsa's tone was no longer as polite as before. Only then did Ning Cheng understand why the other party was angry. It turned out to be because of this. From the looks of it, Lu Dongsa didn't ask anyone to help him recognize the divine herbs. He recognized them all by himself. In fact, Ning Cheng was really wrong. Which one of the association masters who came here wasn't a talented person? In this kind of alchemy competition, these association masters disdained asking for help from others. Don't look at how they brought some participating alchemists. In fact, it was their own ability to recognize the divine herbs. It definitely wasn't what Ning Cheng said. It was just that the other association masters didn't take Ning Cheng's words to heart at all. What you think is what you think, and the truth is the truth. Only Lu Dongsa had a straightforward personality and didn't allow any sand to enter his eyes. In terms of alchemy Dao, he would never admit that he was worse than others. Now that someone doubted his alchemy Dao level, he couldn't help it. Knowing this, Si Chen Qiutian sighed helplessly when he heard Ning Cheng's comforting words. Because in fact he, Si Chen Qiutian, wasn't as good as others. Ning Cheng spread out his hands. Dao friend Lu, I just said that others had many people around them. I didn't say that someone helped them cheat. The purple-robed man heard Ning Cheng's words and immediately said, Dao friend Ning, there's no problem of cheating here. Even if someone helped you, as long as you can recognize them, it's still allowed. Oh, then I won't have any problems. Dao friend Lu, you're overthinking things. Just now, Senior Kong also said that it's allowed for people to help. Ning Cheng spoke up. Ning Cheng's act of disrespecting his seniors not only upset Lu Dongsa, but also the others. A middle-aged woman sitting next to Lu Dongsa spoke up in a cold voice. So Pill Master Ning is even stronger than Association Master Si Chen? If Pill Master Ning were here just now, you would have recognized more than 12 divine herbs in the Grand Essence realm. Ning Cheng felt angry. The reason why he spoke like this wasn't because he wanted to be arrogant, but because he wanted to help Si Chen Qiutian perfect his alchemy Dao heart. Just now, when Si Chen Qiutian had failed, no one had come forward to comfort him. He didn't believe that no one could see that Sichen Qiutian's alchemy Dao runes were messy. Even if he mocked Sichen Qiutian, it was better than ignoring him and chatting. Lu Dongsa's words might have been because he felt wronged. But this middle-aged woman was clearly fishing in troubled waters, and wanted to sprinkle salt on Sichen Qiutian's wounds. When he was about to fail in refining the 6 soul pill, Sichen Qiutian had been worried that his Dao heart would be scarred, and had taken the initiative to help. Ningcheng had always remembered this kindness. Now that Sichen Qiutian's alchemy Dao heart had been scarred, how could he let this middle-aged woman sprinkle salt on it? Who are you? Ningcheng's tone had been as if he was speaking to Lu Dongsa as an equal. At this moment, Ningcheng was simply speaking in a condescending tone. The middle-aged woman's face sank. You're just a Dao birth sacred emperor. How dare you talk to me like this? This is the great ultimate realm's primordial Dao alchemy sacred emperor, Che Beiji. She's also the great ultimate realm's elixir association master. Sichen Qiutian was afraid that Ningcheng would speak nonsense, so he quickly explained. Ningcheng softened his tone and said faintly, in terms of cultivation level, I believe that Guild Master Che is the #1 expert in the entire 5 realms Void City. Therefore, you don't have to point out that I only have a Dao birth cultivation level. However, this is a place to discuss alchemy, not cultivation. Che Beiji's face turned extremely ugly. She was only at the early stage primordial Dao. In terms of cultivation level, she could count backward. Ningcheng's words were akin to slapping her in the face. Without waiting for Che Beiji to refute, Ningcheng added, I'll answer your question now. When I was refining the Heaven Essence Heavenly Pill, I specially went to consult Guild Master Sichen. After receiving Union Head Sichen's guidance, I suddenly understood. That's not all. When I was refining the 6 soul pill, I was on the verge of failure. With Guild Master Sichen's guidance, I finally succeeded. Therefore, in terms of alchemy Dao, I'm barely stronger than you, but I'm far inferior to Guild Master Sichen. When it comes to identifying divine grasses, I'm not worse than anyone else. Sichen Qiutian felt a trace of warmth in his heart. What Ningcheng said was true. Whether it was the 6 soul pill, or the Heaven Essence Heavenly Pill, he had given Ningcheng advice. Because Ningcheng spoke the truth, he did not have even half a shred of estrangement in his heart, and completely accepted Ningcheng's words. Some disdainful gazes on Ningcheng in the hall suddenly changed when they heard that Ningcheng had even refined the 6 soul pill. An alchemy saint who could refine the 6 soul pill was at least a primordial Dao alchemy saint, and not an ordinary primordial Dao alchemy saint. Ningcheng didn't look old, but he was already a primordial Dao alchemy saint. How could his future achievements be low? When did the great essence realm's alchemy Dao become so strong? Ningcheng could refine the 6 soul pill, but he didn't even have a place in the competition? Didn't this mean that the other 5 participants were all primordial Dao alchemy saints? For a moment, everyone had their own thoughts. Hearing Ningcheng say that he wasn't worse than her in identifying divine grasses, Che Beiji calmed down. She stood up to please Lu Dongsa. But if Lu Dongsa didn't come out to help her, then she wouldn't need to continue trying to please him. Besides, Ningcheng had refined the 6 soul pill, which meant that his alchemy Dao strength shouldn't be any worse than hers. Sure enough, Lu Dongsa sneered. In that case, I'll come and identify the divine grasses with Pill Master Ning. After saying that, Lu Dongsa cupped his fists towards the purple-robed man and said, Brother Kong, please set the question. Sichen Qiutian quickly sent a sound transmission to Ningcheng. Don't compete with Lu Dongsa in identifying divine grasses. Just now, out of the 20 divine grasses, only one person managed to identify all of them. That person was Lu Dongsa. Ningcheng felt secretly surprised. Was this Lu Dongsa really that powerful? The purple-robed man looked at Ningcheng and asked, Pill Master Ning, now that President Lu wants to compete with you in identifying divine grasses, what does Pill Master Ning think? Ningcheng showed a calm smile. Naturally. Since it's a competition, it naturally has a stake. I wonder if this stake is a place in the competition, or something else. The purple-robed man chuckled. This is a competition between the two of you. It has nothing to do with a place in the competition. Lu Dongsa directly took out a thick ancient book and placed it on the table. This is the most precious ancient book on the Tao of Alchemy that I've obtained since I started practicing alchemy. It's called Universe Vegetation. It's all because of this ancient book that I could become a primordial chaos pill saint and identify all the divine grasses. If you beat me, this ancient book will be yours. Seeing Lu Dongsa take out this thick ancient book, everyone in the hall stared straight at it. Everyone here was a powerhouse in the Tao of Alchemy. Who wouldn't want this universe vegetation? Ningqing also felt eager in his heart. In fact, although he had seen a lot of alchemy Tao jade strips, none of them were precious. Most of them were second-rate goods bought from merchant houses. Lu Dongsa's universe vegetation was definitely a treasure among the ancient books on the Tao of Alchemy. If he could obtain this ancient book, his attainment in the Tao of Alchemy would undoubtedly improve further. Thinking of this, Ningqing took out a jade bottle and placed it on the table without hesitation. This is a trace of fire-attributed primal chaos chi that I bought at an auction. As soon as they heard the words primal chaos chi, many eyes immediately swept over. Who didn't know the effect of primal chaos chi on a cultivator? Although fire-attributed primal chaos chi wasn't the most primitive, it was more tempting to pill saints. This bottle of fire-attributed primal chaos chi isn't as valuable as the universe vegetation. The purple-robed man's gaze swept over the jade bottle that Ningqing took out and spoke with a calm tone. Lu Dongsa showed a slight smile. It's not easy for him to take out a trace of five-element primal chaos chi. I happen to lack this thing. Let's do it. Since Lu Dongsa agreed, the purple-robed man naturally wouldn't say anything else. Raising his hand, he took out a divine grass. This is the first divine grass. The two of you, identify it and write the answer on the jade strip. Ningqing sighed. Sure enough, just as he thought, he couldn't identify the first divine grass. Chapter 1054. Seeing Lu Dongsa's faint smile, Ningqing knew that the other party definitely knew what divine grass it was. None of the people sitting here had simple experience. Looking at Ningqing's expression, many people guessed that Ningqing most likely didn't recognize this divine grass. Even the purple-robed man who presided over the competition secretly shook his head. Sure enough, this fellow was an arrogant fellow. From this, it could be seen that Ningqing's previous statement about refining the 6 soul pill should also be false. The divine grass he took out was indeed extremely rare, but no matter how rare it was, this first one was also the simplest one. If one couldn't even recognize the first one, then there would be no need to compete at all. Senior Kong, I wonder if there's a time limit for identifying divine grasses? Or would whoever identifies it first win? Ningqing didn't engrave anything on the jade strip, but asked about the rules of the competition. The purple-robed man found it a little funny. If you can't recognize a divine grass, then even if you were given 100 days, you still wouldn't be able to. Unless you deduced all the effects of this divine grass, but what's the use of deducing it? You still don't know what kind of divine grass this is. After Ningqing asked this question, the contemptuous and disdainful gazes in the hall grew even more. Jinghan, who stood behind Situchen's Qiu Tian, felt secretly happy. Ningqing had caused a crack in his Tao of Alchemy. Now that Ningqing was beaten to the ground, how could he not feel happy? The purple-robed man showed a slight smile. In theory, there is no time limit for identifying divine grasses, and the time taken to identify them doesn't determine the winner or loser. But how many years would it take to identify a divine grass? Therefore, we set a time limit of 2 hours for each divine grass. As long as we can identify it within 2 hours, we will have the same result. What does Tao Friend Ning and Association Master Lu think? The purple-robed man's words still made sense. If one couldn't identify a divine grass within 2 hours, then there would be no point in dragging it out. Of course, I don't have any objections. What's wrong with letting him identify it for a year? Lu Dongsa didn't even glance at Ningqing and spoke up coldly. Before the competition, he still regarded Ningqing as a character. But now Ningqing was nothing in his eyes. I don't have any objections, I just hope that Senior Kong can take out all the divine grasses we identified. 2 of each kind, I will identify mine, he will identify his. After we identify it in one go, we can carve the jade strip for Senior Kong. How about it? Ning Qing put forward another suggestion. He had no choice. Who asked him to be weaker than the other party? He could only play some tricks. The purple-robed man chuckled and didn't speak even half a word of nonsense. He raised his hand and took out 10 stalks of divine grasses before sending them to Ningcheng and Lu Dongsa, 5 stalks each. The 5 kinds of divine grasses in front of Ningcheng were exactly the same as the 5 kinds of divine grasses in front of Lu Dongsa. There was no issue of difficulty. Seeing Lu Dongsa take out a blank jade strip, Ningcheng felt somewhat helpless. He could use the ingredients and effects of the divine herbs to argue that he didn't lose. However, the eyes of the people in the hall were as sharp as snow. Lu Dongsa had already written down the 5 types of divine grasses, but he was still deducing them. Even if it was a tie through sophistry, it would be even more embarrassing. At this time, Ningcheng could only take out a blank jade strip and casually engrave a few names on it. When he saw Lu Dongsa put down the jade strip, he quickly rushed forward and said, "Senior Kong, I've finished the identification." Ningcheng's words felt like a bomb dropped in the middle of the hall, surprising everyone. Ningcheng's previous performance showed that Ningcheng's knowledge was poor, which meant that it was almost impossible for him to recognize all 5 divine grasses. Otherwise, Ningcheng wouldn't have asked about the time limit. What was going on now? Why hadn't Lu Dongsa said anything yet? Did he finish identifying them? Wasn't this too outrageous? Did Ningcheng ask about the time limit because he feared that Lu Dongsa would deliberately find an excuse to stall for time? Or did he want to stall for time? Lu Dongsa also looked at Ningcheng in surprise. This wasn't right. He believed that his alchemy Dao level was among the best even in the entire Grand Change realm. Not to mention that Ningcheng's alchemy Dao level wasn't as good as his. Even if Ningcheng's alchemy Dao level could match his, Ningcheng's ability to identify divine grasses wouldn't be as good as his. But the fact was that Ningcheng had recognized these 5 divine grasses before him. The purple-robed man also looked at Ningcheng in surprise. Did he make a mistake just now? Ningcheng truly was a top-notch alchemy Dao powerhouse. One had to know that the divine grasses he took out were extremely rare divine grasses with lost inheritances. He was the one who presided over the pill meat. When it came to his alchemy Dao level, he might not be as good as some people here. But when it came to divine grasses with lost inheritances, he naturally knew more about them than others. It was because they studied these things every day. If it weren't for Lu Dongsa's universe plants, he wouldn't have known more than him. I've also finished identifying them. Lu Dongsa's tone no longer contained the previous disdain. This time, it carried a hint of caution. The purple-robed man suppressed the shock in his heart and looked at Lu Dongsa before saying, "You've finished identifying them. Now tell me what's the name of this divine grass." After speaking, the purple-robed man took out another divine grass. This divine grass was half a foot long and had 2 narrow leaves. It was gray in color. Ningcheng and Lu Dongsa both had the same divine grass in front of them. He didn't ask Ningcheng and Lu Dongsa to hand over the jade strips in their hands to him. This not only showed that this was an easy match, but also showed that he trusted both of them. However, such a casual move made Ningcheng feel even more at ease. Ningcheng originally felt that if both of them recognized the divine grasses and ended in a tie in the first round, there would definitely be a second round. Because of this idea, Ningcheng took the risk and wanted to drag the fight to the second round. The first round was about identifying divine grasses, and the second round definitely wouldn't be about identifying divine grasses. Now that the purple-robed man didn't take away their jade strips, it meant that the second round was inevitable. Moreover, it also had something to do with the 5 divine grasses in the first round. Otherwise, this man surnamed Kong would have already taken away the jade strips. "This is the Heavenly Fox double-leaf scale," Lu Dongsa said with a calm voice. Some pill saints who also recognized this divine grass nodded secretly. Lu Dongsa indeed lived up to his reputation. They only knew about the Heavenly Fox double-leaf scale by chance. Moreover, no matter how rare a divine grass was, it couldn't escape Lu Dongsa's eyes. Everyone looked at Ningcheng. Even if Ningcheng didn't recognize the Heavenly Fox double-leaf scale, he didn't dare to change the contents of the jade strip just because Lu Dongsa recognized it. With so many experts here, any change in the jade strip's contents would be immediately detected. The purple-robed man also looked at Ning Cheng. Dao friend Ning, what do you think this divine grass is called? It's called green foxtail grass. Ning Cheng replied calmly. As soon as the words green foxtail grass came out, everyone froze. Wasn't this a bit too shameless? If they couldn't recognize it, then they couldn't recognize it. Was there a need to be so shameless? Even Jing Han, who had a grudge against Ning Cheng, felt ashamed. Who told him and Ning Cheng to come from the Grand Essence realm? Only Si Chen Xiaotian remained calm on the surface. He understood Ning Cheng. Since he said that, then there must be an explanation. Haha, do you still have any shame? Brother Kong, for such a shameless person to appear here is an insult to the entire alchemy Dao. Che Beiji stood up, the anger on her face almost burning Ning Cheng. Previously, when she heard that Ning Cheng had refined the 6-in soul pill, she felt a little afraid of Ning Cheng. But now she finally understood that Ning Cheng had deliberately come here to make trouble. To put it bluntly, he was a sore loser. To be honest, she had cultivated for so many years, but she had never seen an alchemist as shameless as Ning Cheng. The purple-robed man's face sank, and the murderous aura around him suddenly pressed down on Ning Cheng. Just because he was easy to talk to didn't mean that others could talk nonsense here. If Ning Cheng really fought with Lu Dongsa, he wouldn't favor either side. But if he wanted to treat everyone as fools, then he had chosen the wrong place. Pill Master Ning, if you treat everyone as fools and dare to mess around here, don't blame me for being impolite. Even Si Chen Xiaotian can't protect you. As the purple-robed man spoke, his murderous aura started to condense. Haha, I've finally seen it. Lu Dongsa laughed. He had thought that Ning Cheng was a great fellow, but it turned out that he relied on his thick skin. Ning Cheng didn't feel surprised and spoke with a flat tone. When my master taught me, it was called foxtail grass. Could it be that the same divine herb had to be called the same everywhere? I've heard that some places call starry sky crystals as immortal crystals. Is that also wrong? When my master taught me, he told me that all the grand Daos under the heavens lead to the same destination. All the spirit techniques under the heavens lead to the same destination. Yet, for you to get angry over a mere name, could it be that Senior Kong still hasn't understood it? Everyone knew that Ning Cheng was talking nonsense, but after hearing it, they couldn't refute it. The cultivation realms of the Grand Essence realm and the Grand Beginning realm were very different from the Grand Beginning realm and the Grand Change realm. But as Ning Cheng said, all the Grand Daos under the heavens lead to the same destination. Just like immortal crystals and starry sky crystals were the same thing, but they had different names in the two positional planes. Who among the people who came here didn't understand this truth? Ning Cheng's words weren't all nonsense. Although he said that foxtail grass was indeed nonsense, the latter part was his own understanding of the Grand Dao. The Grand Daos under the heavens, as he said, no matter how many branches there were, no matter how many methods there were, they all pursued only one goal. The anger on the purple-robed man's face slowly disappeared, and the entire hall turned silent. Che Beiji, who wanted to stand up and scold Ning Cheng again, also stopped his movements. Your master is an amazing person, and Dao friend Ning's words are also correct. All the grand Daos under the heavens lead to the same destination. Foxtail grass and heavenly fox double leaf scales only have different names, but their effects are the same. Now Pill Sage Ning, please tell me the name of this second divine grass. While speaking, the purple-robed man took out another divine grass. This divine grass was actually a green vine, and the leaves on the vine looked like claws. These claws had many leaves and formed a wave. This is a chicken claw vine. Ning Cheng still spoke calmly. Chapter 1055. This is the breeze immortal claw. Lu Dongsa said calmly. He knew that Ning Cheng was just talking nonsense. In fact, everyone here knew that Ning Cheng was just talking nonsense. But what he said also made sense. It was just a name. If you called yourself Zhang San, why would he call yourself Zhang Si? After all, this wasn't a test of the medicinal properties of the divine herbs. If it was a test of medicinal properties and effects, then Ning Cheng's trick obviously wouldn't work. Lu Dongsa didn't worry about it. He knew all 5 divine herbs. Even if he didn't know them, he could just casually name them like Ningcheng. The first round was already a draw, but the second round was the real test of skills. If he didn't guess wrong, the second round should be a test of medicinal properties. How could you fake it? Not only did Lu Dongsa understand this truth, but the others also understood it. When everyone heard Ningcheng say the names of the divine herbs, they all sneered. It was as if they were watching a clown perform. No matter how good one's performance was, one's true colors would eventually be exposed. If Kong Lianbo didn't even have the ability to expose Ningcheng, he wouldn't be able to stand in this place. People who treated others as fools were the real fools. In the end, Lu Dongsa recognized the 5 divine herbs as Heavenly Fox Double Leaf Scale, Breeze Immortal Claw, Silver Ring Fruit, Sakya Flower and Rosy Red Wings. Ningcheng, on the other hand, recognized Foxtail Grass, Chicken Claw Vine, Silver Arc Green Fruit, Two-Colored Flower and Sunset Leaf. None of the divine herbs recognized by the 2 were the same. This made everyone in the hall aware that Ningcheng didn't recognize any of these 5 divine herbs. Fortunately, the names of the last 3 divine grasses were still pleasant to hear. It wasn't as shameless as the first 2 names. The purple-robed man also realized that Ningcheng's rogue method couldn't determine a winner or loser in the first round. After both of them said their names, he simply said, "The first round ended in a draw between Association Master Lu and Pill Master Ning. Now let's move on to the second round." Ningcheng felt slightly relieved. If the second round was about refining primordial Dao pills, he would have just admitted defeat. He believed that since this purple-robed man came up with a question, he would have considered the difference between him and Lu Dongsa's Dao of Alchemy. Even if they wanted him to lose, they would make him lose willingly. At least everyone would think that it was fair. The second round of the competition is alchemy. I invite Guildmaster Lu and Pill Master Ning to refine a furnace of pills. This batch of pills would use these 5 kinds of god grasses as the main spirit herbs. Each main spirit herb could be supplemented with less than 10 other kinds of god grasses. What kind of supplementary divine herbs to use, and how many of them to use, were completely up to one's own will. If there were difficulties, sovereigns wouldn't necessarily use up all of the herbs. The final evaluation criteria were as follows. Firstly, who used the most of the 5 main god herbs in front of them. Secondly, who used the most supplementary god herbs. Thirdly, whose pill was of a higher grade. The duration of the competition is 6 days. It starts now. When the purple-robed man finished speaking, everyone in the hall was secretly shocked. It wasn't that the competition's questions were too easy, but that they were too difficult. This wasn't concocting pills, but deducing pill recipes. In order to deduce a pill recipe, one had to be very clear about the effects, characteristics, and origin properties of all the divine herbs. Not only that, but one's understanding of alchemy must also reach a certain level. No one could cheat when deducing pill recipes like this. If one tried to play tricks like Ningcheng before, it would be a dead end in this place. Deducing pill recipes was a real skill, and one couldn't just make up the numbers. According to the rules, one could use up to 50 supplementary divine herbs for the 5 main spirit herbs. 55 kinds of divine herbs. If used to refine medicinal pills, it would be best to refine Dao transformation spirit pills. Of course, both of them were deducing pill recipes, not ready-made pill recipes. Using 55 types of divine spirit herbs to deduce the elixir formula of a Dao transformation divine pill within 3 days was not difficult, but it was almost impossible to accomplish. What's more, there was only one chance. If one failed, they would lose. Ningcheng and Lu Dongsa both surpassed the level of ordinary Dao transformation pill deities. Therefore, this question was considered fair and just. Of course, absolute fairness didn't exist. Lu Dongsa's alchemy Dao level was far better than Ningcheng's. The higher one's alchemy Dao level, the easier it would be to deduce pill recipes. When this question came out, everyone knew that Lu Dongsa won. Even if Lu Dongsa couldn't deduce the pill recipe, with his understanding of these 5 kinds of divine herbs, as long as one of them could be added into the pill, he would be much better than Ningcheng. Lu Dongsa didn't care about Ningcheng. After hearing this question, he directly brought out a dark brown pill furnace, and began to concentrate on deducing the pill recipe. Ningqing took in a deep breath. This question wasn't too far from what he had guessed. If he wanted to obtain the universe grass and wood, this was his only chance, and he had to rely on his mysterious yellow formless. Ningqing raised his hand and also brought out a pill furnace. In the hall, only a few people looked at Lu Dongsa. On the contrary, most people's eyes fell on Ningqing. They all wanted to know how Ningqing would continue to make a fool of himself. After seeing Ningqing really bring out a pill furnace, some people felt a little puzzled. Of course, no one would think that Ningqing really knew these 5 kinds of divine herbs, and just had different names. When everyone saw the name of the pill furnace that Ningqing brought out, some people couldn't help but laugh out loud. Primal Chaos First Furnace. Could this pill furnace also be called the Primal Chaos First Furnace? Among the alchemists sitting in the hall, this pill furnace was much better than Ningqing's. If Ningqing's was called the first furnace of primordial chaos, then wouldn't theirs be called the first furnace before primordial chaos? Ningqing directly activated a restriction and blocked all the sounds around him. This match was very important to him. Losing face was a small matter, but it was not only related to whether he could obtain the universe grass and wood, but also related to Si Chen Xiutian's alchemy Dao heart. Once he failed, he would become a clown. If Si Chen Xiutian could only explore the alchemy Dao with a clown, his alchemy Dao heart would only become more and more unbalanced. Ningqing picked up the first divine herb, Heavenly Fox Double Leaf Scale. But he didn't throw this divine herb into the pill furnace. Instead, he held it in his hand and poured his entire spiritual consciousness into the divine herb. Ningqing deduced the origin information of the divine grasses one by one. At the same time, the Heavenly Fox Double Leaf Scales lay in Ningqing's sea of consciousness, as if they were stripped of their clothes, allowing Ningqing to capture the essence of heaven and earth within them. Heavenly Fox Double Leaf Scale did not belong to the 5 elements. It was a wind-attributed divine herb, and contained the aura of wind-attributed laws. However, it had a fiery yang nature, making it extremely difficult to fuse with the 5 elemental divine herbs into a pill. After learning this information, Ningqing felt extremely surprised. Generally, divine herbs that contain the laws of heaven and earth were all Dao fruit-level divine herbs. Heavenly Fox Double Leaf Scale looked like it had no law aura on the surface. Ningqing didn't expect that such an unremarkable divine herb would turn out to be a laurelated divine herb. From the looks of it, this question had a big trap. If he performed beyond his level, it wouldn't be impossible to refine a Dao sculpting Dao pill out of 55 divine herbs. Clear Wind Immortal Claw also didn't belong to the 5 elements. It was also a wind-attributed divine herb, but its nature was the opposite of the Heavenly Fox Double Leaf Scale. It had an extreme Yin attribute, and was a laurelated divine herb. Old Man Kong taking out these 2 kinds of divine herbs was very interesting. Did this fellow already know that he would talk nonsense in the first round? Silver Ring Fruit, a metal-attributed divine herb. It didn't contain laws, but it had a murderous nature and a tearing effect. Sakya Flower, a non-attributed divine herb. It had a greatly progressive effect on laws. When Ningqing deduced that the Sakya Flower was non-attributed, he thought that he had made a mistake. As a primordial Dao pill saint, he had seen tens of thousands of divine herbs, but he had never seen a non-attributed divine herb. Although he knew about non-attributed divine herbs, this was the first time he had seen one. Holding the Sakya Flower, Ningqing almost didn't want to put it down. Non-attributed, as if it had no laws. He immediately thought of the bestowing lawless fruit, a Dao fruit that absorbed the laws of heaven and earth, but had no laws. Unfortunately, the Sakya Flower didn't contain any laws. Otherwise, its value would have definitely reached the top of the top. The Grand Change realm truly lived up to its reputation. Ningqing had witnessed it from the bottom of his heart. Even the few divine herbs used in the competition had shocked him so much. The last divine herb, Rosy Red Wings, sounded like a wind-attributed divine herb, but it was actually a wood-attributed divine herb. Moreover, it was a genuine auxiliary divine herb. When he finished deducing the 5 divine herbs, Ningqing found that 3 days had passed. The purple-robed man had only given him 6 days to refine pills. But now, It had taken him 3 days to deduce the divine herbs. In fact, he only had 3 days left to create pill recipes. Ningqing casually glanced around. Sure enough, apart from Si Chun, Qiu Tian and a few others, most people's eyes were focused on Lu Dongsa. Lu Dongsa's furnace continued to emit hot steam. Apparently, he had already started refining the medicinal pills. This pill recipe creation process was different from ordinary pill refining. It was normal for a divine herb to take a few hours to melt. Ningqing sighed in his heart. This was the difference. It wasn't that Lu Dongsa had a deeper understanding of the Tao of alchemy than him, but that Lu Dongsa had the book, Interspatial Plants. According to the book, Lu Dongsa didn't have to deduce the role of divine herbs like him. However, Ningqing didn't worry about losing. He could deduce the attributes and functions of divine herbs by himself, which was more intuitive and clear than reading the book. Heavenly Fox Double Leaf Scale and Clear Wind Immortal Claw were both laurelated divine herbs. One had a yang attribute, while the other had a yin attribute. Ningqing decided to refine a furnace of Tao sculpting Tao pills. This Tao sculpting Tao pill was a Tao pill for comprehending wind-attributed spirit techniques. 55 divine herbs. Refining a Tao sculpting Tao pill obviously lacked many auxiliary and neutral spirit grasses. But Ningqing believed that with the help of the mysterious yellow formless, he should be able to do it within 3 days. If not for the mysterious yellow formless, he wouldn't have dared to challenge Lu Dongsa. The mysterious yellow formless allowed him to deduce far better than other cultivators. Moreover, because the mysterious yellow bead's origin was complete, he could easily grasp the origin essence of various divine herbs, which would greatly shorten his deduction time. On the surface, the Tao of alchemy was about condensing the essence of heaven and earth origin. On the way to the void city of the 5 realms, Ningqing had repeatedly deduced various pill recipes. But because he didn't have any Tao fruits, he didn't refine them. But now he was refining a Tao sculpting Tao pill, which was much simpler than the primordial Tao pill he deduced before. Chapter 1056. Tens of thousands of divine grasses combined in Ningqing's sea of consciousness, combining them again and again. At this time, Ningqing's entire mind merged with these deduced pill recipes. As time passed, Ningqing deduced hundreds of pill recipes over the past 3 days, but he still couldn't feel confident about refining a Tao sculpting pill. If he had a few more batches of these divine grasses, and given more time, Ningqing believed that he could definitely deduce a Tao sculpting pill with these 5 divine grasses as the main spirit grasses. But now he didn't have much time. 6 days were almost up, and Lu Dongsa's pill furnace started to emit a pill fragrance. Ningqing, on the other hand, hadn't touched the pill furnace since he brought it out. Or rather, apart from kneading the 5 divine grasses in his hands, he didn't make any other movements. Although he brought out the first primal chaos furnace, it still hadn't lit a fire. Some people started to shake their heads. They knew that Ningqing would lose, but they didn't expect Ningqing to lose in such an ugly manner. 6 days were about to pass, but Ningqing hadn't even put the divine grasses into the furnace. It was simply too horrible to look at. At this time, no one looked at Ningqing anymore. Everyone's eyes fell on Lu Dongsa. Lu Dongsa's pill techniques were even more continuous. Even those who didn't understand alchemy understood that Lu Dongsa's medicinal pills were about to take shape. Ningqing sighed and raised his head from his state of immersing himself in the deduction of the pill recipes. Then he saw several medicinal pills fly out of Lu Dongsa's pill furnace and fall into a jade bottle on the side. Lu Dongsa sighed. Just then he saw Ningqing's gaze and spoke up calmly, "Pill Master Ning, I've finished refining my medicinal pills. There are still 2 hours before the end of the competition, but why haven't Pill Sage Ning started yet?" Although Lu Dongsa spoke in a flat tone, Ningqing could still hear some disdain in his tone. No one mocked Ningqing. Instead, everyone looked at Lu Dongsa's jade bottle with envy. It wasn't that Lu Dongsa's medicinal pills were good, but that Lu Dongsa's Tao of alchemy had reached a height that others couldn't reach. In 6 days, he deduced a new pill recipe and successfully refined a batch of medicinal pills. How many people could compare to his Tao of alchemy? Ningqing secretly admired Lu Dongsa in his heart. If not for his good fortune treasure, he would have been far inferior to Lu Dongsa. In view of Ning Cheng's sophistry, although the purple-robed man looked at Ning Cheng, he did not speak. After all, the 6 days were not up yet. Ning Cheng ignored Lu Dongsa. Although he appreciated Lu Dongsa's attainments in the Tao of Alchemy, he had no choice but to defeat Lu Dongsa. According to his plan, he wanted to refine a cauldron of Tao sculpting pills. If he managed to refine a Tao sculpting Tao pill, then Lu Dongsa would definitely lose. However, Ning Cheng hesitated for a moment before deciding not to refine the Tao pill. He was not confident that he would be able to successfully refine the Tao pill that he had deduced. His confidence was at most 20%. If he refined a batch of Tao sculpting divine pills, he had 80% confidence. He had 60% confidence in refining a cauldron of Tao birth divine pills. What a pity! As long as he had one more day, he would have been able to raise his Tao sculpting Tao core to 40%. With a 40% chance of success, he would be able to refine it. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng decided to refine a furnace of Tao nourishing divine pills. Since Lu Dongsa refined them into pills, they were at least Tao sculpting divine pills. If he also refined Tao sculpting divine pills, even if he succeeded, he might not necessarily win. Just when everyone thought that Ning Cheng would wait until the time was up and directly admit defeat, Ning Cheng shot out a snow-white flame. He then took out another 50 kinds of divine grasses and piled them up on the side. Then Ning Cheng threw these divine grasses into the pill furnace one by one. Ning Cheng finally started to refine pills. At this time, the few people who wanted to speak quickly stared at Ning Cheng's movements. Soon everyone felt surprised. Ning Cheng's movements were like floating clouds and flowing water, without the slightest bit of delay. It was completely different from when Lu Dongsa was refining pills, where he had to think for a long time about a single divine grass. Not only that, but Ning Cheng also threw the 50 kinds of divine grasses he had taken out into the pill furnace. Not only that, but Ning Cheng also threw the 50 kinds of divine grasses he had taken out into the pill furnace. Some people understood that Ning Cheng and Lu Dongsa had used two different methods. Lu Dongsa used the method of refining while deducing. Ning Cheng's method was to first deduce the pill recipe, and then refine it directly. One had to say that Ning Cheng's method was more difficult. No matter where you were, practice was the most important method of deduction. Ning Cheng didn't need to practice. After deducing the pill recipe, he could directly refine it. However, this method was very dangerous. If there was even the slightest mistake and he couldn't control it, this furnace of medicinal pills might directly turn to waste. Without needing to consider the Tao charm of the divine grasses, Ning Cheng felt much easier to refine them. Not only did he add all 5 kinds of divine grasses into this furnace of medicinal pills, but he also managed to refine them smoothly. Even after half an incense stick worth of time, Ning Cheng didn't encounter any difficulties. Just when Ning Cheng integrated the silver ring fruit's medicinal liquid into it, the medicinal liquid essence in the entire pill furnace suddenly turned violent. It felt like a bomb about to explode at any time. Ning Cheng felt shocked. He couldn't let this medicinal liquid explode. Once the medicinal liquid exploded, it would destroy his furnace of medicinal pills. Ning Cheng cultivated the dark nether devouring spirit scripture. Therefore, he had another method at this time. That was to use his spiritual consciousness to forcibly grab the silver ring fruit's medicinal liquid and crush it. In this way, he would only use 4 kinds of divine grasses for this furnace of medicinal pills. With the Tao of Alchemy powerhouses here, whether a Tao-raising spirit pill used all 5 kinds of divine grasses or not, others could easily find out by crushing them. Only the 4 kinds of divine grasses were secondary. The main thing was that he needed the silver ring fruit to deduce the pill recipe. Without the silver ring fruit, it would be equivalent to failure. The medicinal properties of the silver ring fruit appeared in Ning Cheng's consciousness. The silver ring fruit was a metal-attributed divine grasses. Although it didn't contain any laws, it had a murderous nature and a tearing effect. But why did adding this kind of divine grasses into the medicinal liquid produce such terrible consequences? Ning Cheng didn't have time to think about this problem. He didn't hesitate to integrate the medicinal liquid essence of the rosy glow wings. If he thought about it any further, the medicinal liquid essence would explode. The silver ring fruit had a metal-attributed attribute, while the rosy glow wings had a wood-attributed attribute. Ningqing quickly integrated the medicinal liquid essence of the rosy glow wings, but he had no other choice. To Ningqing's surprise, as soon as the rosy glow wings integrated into it, the violent aura instantly stabilized. He just needed to control the pill charm of the spirit pill. Although Ningqing was performing alchemy within the restrictions, the people around him still felt that Ningqing's furnace of medicinal pills had almost been destroyed. Regardless of whether Ningqing's furnace of medicinal pills had almost been destroyed or not, most people's views on Ningqing had already changed. Ningqing could refine a furnace of medicinal pills to such a degree. Whether he won or lost, Ningqing was a person with true ability. Ningqing, however, started to wonder why such a situation occurred just now. He had ignored the Dao charm of the heavenly fox double leaf scales and the clear wind immortal claw. This greatly reduced the difficulty of his alchemy. Moreover, these two herbs and the herbs he added would not cause the violent aura of the silver ring fruit to overflow. Moreover, the auxiliary divine grasses, the rosy glow wings, couldn't possibly be a bad thing. It was an important divine grasses to salvage this furnace of medicinal pills. The only thing that could ruin it was the sakya flower. That's right. The sakya flower was a non-attributed divine grasses that could greatly increase the effect of laws. Originally, refining a Dao sculpting Dao pill wouldn't have such a significant effect. It's just that he reduced the medicinal pill to a Dao nurturing spirit pill, and used higher-grade divine grasses to refine a lower-grade spirit pill, which consumed part of the medicinal liquid essence. The consumed medicinal liquid essence prompted the eruption of the silver ring fruit's medicinal properties. The rosy glow wings was an auxiliary divine grasses added to quell this eruption. The wood-attributed divine grasses directly ground away the sharpness of the metal-attributed silver ring fruit, and finally formed a pill. The key point was that this was his first time using a non-attributed divine grass, which meant that he didn't have enough confidence in the sakya flower. Fortunately, he didn't choose the Dao sculpting Dao pill. Otherwise, he would have died an ugly death. With that kind of violent aura, coupled with the Dao charm of laws, even the rosy glow wings couldn't stop the furnace from exploding. Thinking of this, Ningqing sucked in a breath of cold air. By this time, he felt sure that the purple-robed man already knew what kind of medicinal pill these 5 divine grasses could combine into. Otherwise, he wouldn't have taken out the auxiliary divine grasses, the rosy glow wings. None of these old fellows were weak. Unfortunately, he joined the rosy glow wings a little late. Ding ding dang dang. 12 blue lights flew out of Ningqing's pill furnace and fell into the jade bottle that Ningqing had already prepared. Ningqing put the jade bottle on the table in front of him and said to the purple-robed man with cupped fists, "I've also finished refining. Senior Kong, please judge." Ningqing still felt some regret in his heart. Because he didn't control the silver ring fruit well, it made him join the rosy glow wings a few breaths late. This furnace of medicinal pills wasn't perfect, and he only obtained 2 top-grade spirit pills. According to his estimation, this furnace of medicinal pills had at least an 80% chance of producing top-grade spirit pills. Not bad. The purple-robed man nodded. There was still half an hour before the end of the 6 days. In other words, Ningqing finished refining this furnace of medicinal pills within half an hour. The purple-robed man waved his hand, and the jade bottles in front of Ningqing and Dong Su landed in front of him. He then opened the 2 jade bottles and poured out a medicinal pill from each of them. Although the purple-robed man didn't cover the jade bottles, no one used their spiritual consciousness to peek into the jade bottles. After an incense stick worth of time, the purple-robed man suddenly took out 2 jade plates and poured the 2 bottles of medicinal pills onto the jade plates. Now everyone can take a look at the medicinal pills refined by Association Master Lu and Pill Master Ning. After obtaining the purple-robed man's permission, everyone's eyes and spiritual consciousness fell on the 2 jade plates. After a while, most people's gazes turned shocked. The purple-robed man spoke up. "Just now, Association Master Lu and Pill Master Ning refined down nurturing spirit pills, with 12 finished pills, 2 top-grade medicinal pills and 10 top-grade medicinal pills. Moreover, Both of them used all 5 kinds of divine grasses from the first round of the competition. You can say that they can deduce the pill recipe in 6 days and successfully refine Tao nurturing spirit pills. This level of alchemy Tao, even in the entire 5 realms, stands at the peak. Everyone remained silent before the second round of the competition. Absolutely no one thought that Ning Cheng and Lu Dongsa would be able to refine the same pill, because it was simply impossible for them to do so. It wasn't that Lu Dongsa couldn't do it, but that Ning Cheng didn't have the ability. Unexpectedly, Ning Cheng not only refined it, but the quality and grade of the finished pills weren't any weaker than Lu Dongsa's. Even Lu Dongsa felt shocked. The reason why he could deduce this furnace of medicinal pills was because he had the universe vegetation. If he didn't have this book, he felt sure that he would have already lost. Now let me judge the level of the two in this competition. If there are any mistakes in my judgment, please correct me. The purple-robed man finished speaking and cupped his fists to show his fairness. Chapter 1057. The purple-robed man raised an elixir pill refined by Lu Dongsa and said, Union Master Lu, this furnace of Tao Birth Divine Pills contains the 12th pill. This is a special grade divine pill. It successfully integrated 5 kinds of divine herbs, and its effect is to increase one's cultivation level. Taking this pill can improve the strength of divine emperors below the Tao Birth Divine Emperor by 1 level in the shortest time. It can be said that Union Master Lu successfully used the sakya flower and silver ring fruit among the 5 kinds of divine herbs. The only pity is that this elixir pill doesn't have much practical use. The value of the divine herbs far exceeds the value of this furnace of divine pills. Lu Dongsa nodded. He naturally knew about the elixir pills he refined himself. Kong Lianbua's evaluation was very clear, and he pointed out the advantages and disadvantages of this furnace of elixir pills. However, Kong Lianbua didn't mention that the other 2 important divine herbs, the Heavenly Fox Double Leaf Scale and the Clear Wind Immortal Claw, didn't play any role in the elixir pills. The purple-robed man put down Lu Dongsa's elixir pills and asked, I wonder if Union Master Lu has anything else to add? He wanted Lu Dongsa to tell him if he had missed out anything. Lu Dongsa stood up and said with cupped fists, Brother Kong hit the nail on the head. This furnace of elixir pills can only be used for alchemy battles. In fact, it doesn't have much value. Despite this, Lu Dongsa wasn't worried that he would lose. This furnace of divine herbs could be used to refine Tao Birth Divine Pills. Ning Cheng could only refine Tao Nurturing Spirit Pills. From this point of view, the medicinal pills Ning Cheng refined did not have much practical value. The purple-robed man nodded and took out another elixir pill. Alchemy Master Ning also refined a furnace of Tao Birth Divine Pills. I also have a special grade elixir pill in my hand. Alchemy Master Ning also successfully integrated 5 kinds of divine herbs, but the effect of this elixir pill is completely different from Union Master Lu's. This elixir pill brings out part of the medicinal properties of the Heavenly Fox Double Leaf Scale and the Clear Wind Immortal Claw. It also makes good use of the sakya flower and silver ring fruit. From this point of view, Spirit Alchemy Master is superior. In addition, although Alchemy Master Ning's elixir pill doesn't use the nomological Tao runes of the divine herbs, it has some effects of Tao pills. It can help wind attribute spirit power cultivators reach a higher level. Not only that, but this elixir can also enhance wind attribute spirit power instantaneously. At this point, the purple-robed man paused for a moment because many people were talking about it. Even Lu Dongsa frowned. Apparently, he didn't believe that Ning Cheng's Tao Nurturing Divine Pill was better than his. After the purple-robed man stopped, everyone stopped their discussions as well. The purple-robed man said, So in the second round, Pill Saint Ning has a slight advantage. Of course, this is only my personal opinion. Now I will send the pills to all of you. Everyone, please share your opinions. Even if the purple-robed man didn't say anything, many people in the hall couldn't wait to know if it was as Kong Lianbua said. Lu Dongsa obtained a pill refined by Ning Cheng, while Ning Cheng also obtained a pill refined by Lu Dongsa. As soon as the medicinal pill entered his hand, Ning Cheng knew that Lu Dongsa had lost. Lu Dongsa had indeed integrated 5 kinds of divine grasses, But he had put the cart before the horse and used the shaka flower and the silver ring fruit, ignoring the two more important divine grasses, the heavenly fox double leaf scale and the clear wind immortal claw. Ningcheng also understood that Lu Dongsa didn't ignore the important ones, but because of the urgency of the time, he could only do this. If he had only used the shaka flower and the silver ring fruit, Ningcheng wouldn't have needed 3 days to deduce it. He could have deduced it on the first day. After half an incense stick worth of time, the people in the hall stopped observing the medicinal pills in their hands. Kong Lianbua's judgment wasn't wrong. Ningcheng had won this batch of medicinal pills. Everyone here was an expert in the Tao of alchemy, so they naturally knew about it. Lu Dongsa also sighed, put down the medicinal pill in his hand and said, "Pill Master Ning, I lost. My vision was too narrow, and I thought that after obtaining the universe plants, I would be far better than ordinary alchemy masters. Even though I knew the medicinal properties of the 5 kinds of divine grasses in advance, I still lost to Pill Master Ning. Pill Master Ning, your Tao of alchemy is much better than mine." Ningcheng understood Lu Dongsa's words, and everyone understood it. Ningcheng didn't know about the first 5 kinds of divine grasses. He didn't even know their names, let alone their medicinal properties. Ningcheng said that his master taught him differently. Even a child wouldn't be deceived by such words. Under such circumstances, Ningcheng could still beat Lu Dongsa, which only showed one thing. That is, Ningcheng's Tao of alchemy truly surpassed Lu Dongsa's. It was already difficult to deduce a pill recipe in 6 days, not to mention figuring out the functions of 5 kinds of divine grasses that had never been seen before. Because of this, Lu Dongsa was convinced of his loss. Although I won by a fluke, Association Master Lu's Tao of alchemy is indeed something I've never seen in my life. If it were a year ago, I might not have won against Association Master Lu. Ningcheng could feel that Lu Dongsa was a little reluctant to give up on the Universe Plants book. But it was impossible for him to give up on this book. He had to get this book. His Tao of alchemy was limited, but more importantly, his knowledge was too limited. As for Lu Dongsa's Tao of alchemy being strong, it came from the bottom of his heart. If this competition took place a year ago, Ningcheng estimated that he wouldn't have such an easy time. He didn't use any divine grasses on the airship. Instead, he focused on deducing pill recipes for over half a year, which helped him a lot in this competition. I lost. This book belongs to Pill Master Ning from now on. Lu Dongsa grabbed the Universe Plants book in front of him with some reluctance, and didn't give it to Ningcheng. Lu Dongsa was a primordial chaos pill saint, yet he was so reluctant to part with an alchemy Tao book. From this, one could tell that this book was no trivial matter. If one gambled, one must be willing to lose. This applied everywhere. Even if some people didn't want Ningcheng to get this book, they couldn't refute it at this time. What's more, Ningcheng had defeated Lu Dongsa. Facing such a powerhouse in the Tao of alchemy, no one wanted to offend him. At this moment, a woman behind Lu Dongsa stood up. "Pill Master Ning, if we talk about the Tao of alchemy, how do you compare to our association master?" Ningcheng glanced at her, and understood that this woman, like him, was also a representative of the 5 Realms pill competition. Ningcheng didn't quibble. "I'm not as good as Association Master Lu. The process of this competition is indeed fair. However, the fire-attributed primal chaos chi that Pill Master Ning took out is far inferior, compared to the Universe Plants book." The reason why Association Master Lu agreed to it was that, firstly, he thought that he would win, and secondly, he didn't want to embarrass Pill Master Ning. I'm not saying that Pill Master Ning doesn't want to accept the Universe Plants, but to point out a fact. That is, this competition has been unfair since the very beginning. The woman finished, cupped her fists and sat down. Everyone understood the meaning of her words. That is, the things that the 2 people brought out during the competition were not equal, which in itself would affect the mood of the competition. The Tao of alchemy was originally a kind of grand Tao. Even a little bit of dust would affect the result, especially between 2 people with similar Tao of alchemy. In fact, this woman's words meant that Ningcheng didn't want to accept the Universe Plants. Pill Master Ping speaks very directly. "Pill Master Ning, please don't take it to heart." After Lu Dongsa finished, he no longer hesitated and directly handed over the Universe Plants book to Ningcheng. Ning Cheng appreciated Lu Dongsa's straightforwardness. If Lu Dongsa wanted to go back on his words, then don't blame him for being impolite. Not only did he want to take back the universe plants, but he also wanted to ridicule them. Seeing Lu Dongsa act so straightforwardly, Ning Cheng grabbed the book and said, "Many thanks, Association Master Lu." Lu Dongsa waved his hand. "This is what you deserve. There's no need to thank me. If I had obtained your fire-attributed primal chaos chi, I wouldn't have thanked you either." Ning Cheng showed a slight smile. "In addition to thanking Association Master Lu, I also want to say that what that senior apprentice sister said just now was indeed reasonable. In fact, I didn't recognize any of the 5 divine grasses in the first round of the competition. I believe that everyone here knows about this. Therefore, consider this book as a loan from Association Master Lu. Before the end of the 5 Realms Pill competition, I will definitely return it to Association Master Lu." Hearing Ning Cheng's words, Lu Dongsa almost stood up in joy. Fortunately, he still retained his self-restraint and gave Ning Cheng a very respectful alchemy salute. "Many thanks, Pill Master Ning. If Pill Master Ning has any questions while reading this book, please feel free to discuss it with me." This universe plant was too important to him. Otherwise, as a primordial chaos pill saint, he wouldn't want to take back what he lost. Now that Ning Cheng wanted to return it to him, he decided to compensate Ning Cheng in other ways. Ning Cheng also stood up and returned the alchemy salute. "I would like to thank Association Master Lu for giving me a chance to view the universe plant. I'm afraid that I would have to trouble Association Master Lu for a lot of things." Ning Cheng also felt very satisfied. After reading the universe plant, he didn't need to keep it with him. With this book, he could make friends with a powerhouse in the Tao of Alchemy like Association Master Lu, which would only bring him benefits. Not only that, Ning Cheng could feel that after he decided to borrow this book, Lu Dongsa wasn't the only one in the hall who felt a change in him. Lu Dongsa quickly exchanged communication pearls with Ning Cheng and then cupped his fists toward Sichen Xiaotian. "Association Master Sichen is truly amazing. You can even guide an alchemy Tao powerhouse like Pill Master Ning to refine the 6 Yin Soul pill. During the 5 Realms pill competition, if Association Master Sichen has some free time, we can discuss alchemy together." Sichen Xiaotian stood up with a smile on his face and returned the salute. Even if he knew that Lu Dongsa wanted to help him condense his alchemy Tao heart, he still felt happy at this moment. First, it was true that he helped Ning Cheng refine the 6 Yin Soul pill. Second, it was true that Lu Dongsa lost to Ning Cheng. Lu Dongsa's alchemy Tao was stronger than his, but he still wanted to discuss alchemy with him. This showed that his alchemy Tao had gained recognition from others. Nothing else, because he could guide Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng felt that he didn't do anything wrong. Lu Dongsa's words were tantamount to helping him. Lu Dongsa could see that he wanted to perfect Sichen Xiaotian's alchemy Tao heart, so he said those words to help. Sichen Xiaotian's confidence in the Tao of alchemy rose. Once he reached the Grand Change realm and refined a furnace of heavenly heaven essence pills, Sichen Xiaotian's alchemy Tao heart would once again be perfected. Kong Lianbo felt very satisfied with the way things were resolved this time. He said with a smile, "Alchemy Master Ning has amazing talent, and is neither arrogant nor rash. I, Kong Lianbo, have decided to give this competition spot to you." As a senior, he felt that there was nothing wrong with saying this to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng had shown such a strong level of alchemy Tao. Giving Ning Cheng a spot at this time was tantamount to sending charcoal in snowy weather and making friends with Ning Cheng. With Lu Dongsa and Kong Lianbo befriending each other, the rest of the alchemists in the hall greeted Ning Cheng and Sichen Xiaotian. For a time, the originally strange atmosphere in the pill discussion hall became harmonious. Chapter 1058. After that, Situchun, Xiaotian, and Ningqing didn't participate in the Tao discussion. The Grand Essence realm only needed one spot, and Kong Lianbo had already given it to him. Therefore, there was no need for them to participate. Ningqing, on the other hand, was also able to gain a lot from watching the pill competition from the side. The alchemy experience of any of the association heads here was not something he could compare to. Several days later, the pill discussion ended. More and more people came to make friends with Ning Cheng and Sikhen Tian. Previously, few people in this place were willing to deal with Sikhen Tian. It wasn't because he wasn't popular, but because he was too weak. Those who pursued the pill Dao were very realistic. Since Sikhen Tian's pill Dao heart was damaged, others were naturally unwilling to discuss alchemy with him. Once the discussion of alchemy went deeper, it would affect other people's alchemy Dao hearts. Now that Ning Cheng had shown such strong strength, Sikhen Tian's Dao heart in the alchemy Dao had begun to improve. Even Kong Lianhua and Lu Dongsa wanted to make friends with Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng rejected all invitations and went straight back to the rest stop. He wanted to study the universe vegetation. This book was very important to him. The 5 Realms pill competition was approaching, and if he could thoroughly study the plants and vegetation of the universe, at the very least he wouldn't be any less knowledgeable than the others. In fact, he might even be better than them. With Ning Cheng's spot in the competition, Sikhen Tian finally put down the stone in his heart and accepted Lu Dongsa's invitation to discuss the Tao of alchemy with Lu Dongsa. After returning to the rest stop, Ning Cheng activated the room's restrictions and directly took out the universe grass. When he flipped to the first page, he understood why Lu Dongsa was reluctant to part with this book. How was this a book? This was simply a top-notch treasure. Apart from the striped pattern, there was no other writing on the page. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness penetrated inside and saw a large verdant spiritual grass medicine garden, as well as plants that were not spiritual objects. As for those species, Ning Cheng could not even count them at a glance. There were rows of words floating above each plant. These words introduced the effects of the plant, the environment it grew in, and the conditions it needed to survive. These descriptions were perfect. Any plant, as long as you read these descriptions, you would be able to understand them at a glance and perfect them in your mind. Ning Cheng had seen a lot of jade strips introducing spiritual grasses, but he had never seen such a perfect introduction. These plants were real and could be dug up to be used to refine pills. There was more than one stalk of each type, and some even formed a small patch. If this book was like this, then the value of this book was simply immeasurable. Ning Cheng couldn't help but sigh at Lu Dongsa's magnanimity in his heart. Replaced by another person, if they lost this universe of plants to someone else, they would have definitely dug out all the spiritual objects in this book. Even if they didn't take away all of them, they would take away a large portion. But when Ning Cheng looked at the first page of the spiritual grass medicine garden, it was incomparably complete, without a single stalk missing. This union leader Lu was not a person with a dark personality. Well, if he was shrewd and had a dark personality, he would not have stood out because of a single sentence from him. In fact, Lu Dongsa wasn't the only one who was dissatisfied with his previous words. In the end, only Lu Dongsa stood out. Ning Cheng quickly immersed himself in this book. As he flipped through the pages one by one, Ning Cheng found that the divine herb garden remained untouched. Among them, he even saw treasures like the law god herbs and Dao fruits. These things were also not dug up by Lu Dongsa. Only a few precious Dao fruits didn't have physical objects. Only a picture and introduction were suspended in place. Ning Cheng knew that even if Lu Dongsa dug these away, he didn't just dig them out. As more and more precious Dao fruits appeared, Ning Cheng began to admire Lu Dongsa more and more. He couldn't be as selfless as Lu Dongsa, who would give away these Dao fruits to his opponent after losing. No wonder Lu Dongsa could cultivate to the primordial chaos Holy Emperor realm and reach the primordial chaos Pill Saint realm in the alchemy Dao. Not many people could have such magnanimity. Ning Cheng eagerly absorbed the knowledge in the universe of plants in the rest stop. But at the same time, the news about him in the 5 realms Void City spread. An alchemist from the Grand Essence realm defeated Lu Dongsa with his own strength in a place where many association masters were discussing alchemy. He even won Lu Dongsa's universe of plants. It was impossible not to let others know about this. For a time, many alchemists participating in the pill competition regarded Ning Cheng as an opponent. It wasn't unusual for an alchemist participating in the 5 realms pill competition to defeat an association master. What was unusual was that Ning Cheng defeated the association master of the Grand Beginning Realm Pill Association. One had to know that in the alchemy Tao of the 5 realms, apart from the Grand Change Realm, the strongest was the Grand Beginning Realm. Ning Cheng defeating the association master of the Grand Beginning Realm was naturally not a trivial matter. Many alchemists specially came to visit Ning Cheng, but Ning Cheng had been in seclusion. 3 months passed in a hurry, and Ning Cheng had only read 1/3 of the universe of plants. Even with Ning Cheng's vast sea of consciousness, he had only read 1/3 of the book in 3 months, which showed how much information this book contained. On this day, Ning Cheng received a message from Si Chen Xiaotian that the alchemists participating in the 5 Realms Pill competition would be teleported to the Grand Change Realm in 3 days. Ning Cheng could only put away the universe of plants and stop his seclusion. He planned to take advantage of these few days to ask Lu Dongsa. This was because Ning Cheng found that there were a few plants that were not labeled after the universe of plants. He didn't know if it was because the labels were missing or because of other reasons. Apart from the powerhouses of the major realms, most of the people who walked in the 5 Realms Void City were cultivators who wandered in the void. These people were powerful and decisive in killing. Ning Cheng did not walk for long on the streets of the 5 Realms Void City before he sensed the bloody murderous aura of the void. Even though his cultivation level had reached the Tao Birth Realm, Ning Cheng knew very well that his strength was still far from those true powerhouses. Plus, he didn't want to buy anything, so he didn't plan to wander around the streets. He just wanted to see Lu Dongsa as soon as possible. Lu Dongsa stayed in the Grand Beginning Resting Inn. Apart from Grand Simplicity and Grand Ultimate, Grand Change, Grand Beginning, and Grand Beginning all had their own resting inns in the 5 Realms Void City. Scram! With a shout, a silhouette flew out. A powerful divine essence force pressed down on Ning Cheng's body, and Ning Cheng quickly stepped aside. Bang! The figure that flew out hit a tree and slid to the ground. Ning Cheng then saw that it was a thin yellow-haired woman. Apart from her big eyes, this woman looked very ordinary. At best, she wasn't ugly. She got up from the ground and wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth. She didn't do anything drastic. From the looks of it, Ning Cheng knew that this wasn't the first time she had been kicked out like this. Her cultivation level was also at the Tao modeling realm, but her aura wasn't strong. Obviously, she hadn't cultivated for a long time, and her Tao confidence had been destroyed. Ning Cheng's gaze fell on the shop that had kicked the woman out. It was a shop without any signs, and the person who kicked the yellow-haired woman out was only at the Tao modeling realm. It seemed that this woman didn't dare to resist and deliberately let the other party kick her out. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been in such a sorry state. The yellow-haired woman looked at the shop with some disappointment. She lowered her head and slowly turned around. Ning Cheng saw a tear in her eye. A Tao modeling divine emperor in a low-level realm would be the lord of a realm. How could she be bullied like this in the 5 Realms Void City? Ning Cheng frowned slightly. He felt some sympathy for her, but he didn't go forward to ask. Even if a Tao modeling divine emperor couldn't afford to buy anything, she shouldn't be in such dire straits. This puzzled Ning Cheng. Sorry, I almost bumped into you just now. The yellow-haired woman carefully spoke to Ning Cheng, and after giving a respectful bow, she then wanted to bypass Ning Cheng and leave. During this process, she didn't even raise her head. To be honest, Ning Cheng had never seen a Tao modeling divine emperor act so lowly before. Even if Tao modeling divine emperors were at the bottom of the 5 Realms Void City, they shouldn't act like this, right? Why did they kick you out? Seeing the yellow-haired woman being so polite, Ning Cheng thought about it and asked. When Earth was invaded by the insect tide, Rulin was also bullied like this. The yellow-haired woman raised her head in confusion. She didn't expect Ning Cheng to greet her. She quickly reacted and bowed. It's nothing, I don't have enough crystal stones. Ning Cheng smiled. If it wasn't for a lot of crystal stones, I could help you. Ah. The yellow-haired woman's eyes showed surprise, but it quickly disappeared. She said in a low voice, I wanted to take the teleportation array, but I didn't have enough crystal stones, so they let me out. Ning Cheng looked at the shop without any signs and asked, This isn't where the teleportation array is? I remember the teleportation array is over there. Saying that, Ning Cheng pointed to the position where he came from through the teleportation array. The yellow-haired woman shook her head. No, I know the teleportation array isn't here. This is. Halfway through her words, the yellow-haired woman woke up and looked at Ning Cheng in doubt. Big brother, aren't you from the Five Realms Void City? How come you don't know what this place is for? Ning Cheng replied. No, I came here to participate in the Five Realms Pill competition. I really don't know what this place is for. No wonder you don't know. By the way, I heard that there's a senior named Ning Cheng in the Grand Essence realm. He even won against Association Master Lu in an alchemy battle. Do you know this senior Ning? The yellow-haired woman suddenly asked an irrelevant question. Ning Cheng said with some embarrassment, I know him. Why are you asking him? Do you know him? The yellow-haired woman said in a low voice, I don't know Senior Ning. I heard that Senior Ning not only has a powerful alchemy Dao, but he is also generous. He won against Association Master Lu and only asked to borrow the universe grass. He doesn't want Senior Lu's universe grass. So, I wanted to ask him for help. Unfortunately, I went there a few times, and Senior Ning was always in seclusion. You want to borrow spirit crystals from him? Ning Cheng felt a little speechless in his heart. He had unexpectedly become Mr. Nice Guy. Yet someone he didn't know wanted to borrow spirit crystals from him. The yellow-haired woman nodded. I want to go back to the Grand Change Realm to have a look, but I don't have enough spirit crystals. The place I entered just now is specially designed to help people obtain spots to enter the Grand Change Realm. It's just that it requires too many spirit crystals, and I can't afford it. Ning Cheng asked in surprise. Isn't it difficult to enter the Grand Change Realm? Do they have that kind of ability? If one could enter the Grand Change Realm as long as one had spirit crystals, then no one would ask him for a spot. Which sect in the Grand Essence Realm didn't have a lot of spirit crystals? Chapter 1059. The yellow-haired woman shook her head. It's not what you think. I came from the Great Change Realm, so I can go back. Saying that, the yellow-haired woman took out a jade card and showed it to Ning Cheng. This is my identity jade card. Ning Cheng suddenly understood. No wonder. I thought that anyone could find them to transfer to the Grand Change Realm. If that's the case, then the Grand Change Realm would be too easy to enter. The yellow-haired woman looked at the door of the merchant house that she had just been kicked out of. She hesitated for a moment before whispering. Actually, people who are not from the Great Change Realm have their own ways to enter the Great Change Realm. But it's very troublesome, and the amount of divine crystals required is a huge number. Ning Cheng nodded. Sure enough, if there was a policy, there would always be a countermeasure. It was the same even in the Grand Change Realm, the largest of the 5 grand realms. How many divine crystals do you need to pay? Let me see if I have it. Ning Cheng asked with a smile. The yellow-haired woman said dejectedly. I have to pay 50 million divine crystals to return to the Great Change Realm. So many? Ning Cheng exclaimed in surprise. Even he found it difficult to carry so many spirit crystals. That's too many god crystals. I can't help you. Even if you find Ning Cheng, he wouldn't be able to come up with so many spirit crystals to help you. Ning Cheng spoke with a helpless tone. The yellow-haired woman understood that Ning Cheng couldn't help her. Not to mention that the other party couldn't come up with so many spirit crystals. Even if he could, who would willingly take out 50 million spirit crystals to help a stranger? Upon seeing the yellow-haired woman's helpless look, Ning Cheng hesitated for a moment before saying, Actually, there are many void wanderers in the 5 realms Void City. They adventure and cultivate in the void all year round. This way, not only can I improve my cultivation, but I can also accumulate some divine crystals. I know. But I'm worried about my young Mississippi. I don't know how she is right now. I really can't cultivate here with peace of mind. I came to the 5 realms Void City to inquire about my big brother. However, I've been here for 10,000 years and I haven't heard anything about him. The yellow-haired woman's tone was mournful. What's your big brother's name? Ning Cheng asked. He suddenly remembered that he knew Kong Lianbua, and also knew Lu Dongsa. Maybe he could help her find her big brother. The yellow-haired woman shook her head and didn't say anything. Ning Chung saw that the yellow-haired woman did not want to say anything, and could only say, "Then I wish you good luck, I'll be leaving now." "You are a good person. You are as kind as my big brother and my young miss. I will tell you my big brother's name, but you must not tell it to anyone else." The yellow-haired woman suddenly spoke up when Ning Chung was about to leave. Ning Chung smiled and was just about to say that he would definitely have to tell others to help her find her big brother, when this yellow-haired woman spoke up. "My big brother's name is Pan Qian. Alas, so many years have passed, even if I say it out loud, it would not matter much." "What did you say, Pan Qian?" Ning Chung was surprised in his heart, as he quickly repeated the words. Could it be that the Pan Qian the yellow-haired woman was talking about was the giant he had saved? That was also possible. The only way out of the Great Change Realm was to come to the Five Realms Void City. The yellow-haired woman had come out of the Great Change Realm, and could not advance or retreat in the Five Realms Void City. She could only stay here. Hearing Ning Cheng's surprised voice, the yellow-haired woman's face immediately changed, but she soon returned to normal. After being trapped in the Five Realms Void City for 10,000 years, she had long lost all hope. What did it matter whether he said Pan Qian's name or not? "Come with me." Ning Cheng did not ask any more questions, and directly pulled the yellow-haired woman to a secluded place. Placing a restriction on it, he asked with a dignified tone, "Is your family's little miss called Shi? Or is your name Shi?" The yellow-haired woman stared at Ning Cheng with wide eyes and took 2 steps back vigilantly. "Do you know my family's little miss and big brother Pan Qian?" Sure enough, Ning Cheng felt slightly relieved. "I don't know Shi, but I know Pan Qian. Pan Qian is my friend, and we have gone through trials and tribulations together." Ning Cheng did not speak nonsense. Pan Qian had saved him, so he had returned to save Pan Qian. The two of them had dealt with the Altar of Forefathers library together. Because of this, the two had forged a deep friendship. "Are you a friend of Big Brother Pan Qian? Where is Big Brother Pan Qian?" The yellow-haired woman's tone turned joyful and excited. She had actually heard news about Pan Qian. After so many years in the Void City, this was the first time she had heard news about Pan Qian. Ning Cheng did not say where Pan Qian was. Instead, he stared at the yellow-haired woman and asked, "Is your family's little miss Shi? The yellow-haired woman said eagerly, "Yes, my family's little miss is Shi. My name is Qian." Ning Cheng frowned and said, "I heard from Pan Qian that Shi died a long time ago. Why did you say that you were worried about your family's little miss, and didn't want to stay in the Void City of the Five Realms?" Qian felt relieved when she heard Ning Cheng's words. "Big brother, you really are my big brother Pan Qian's friend. It's a long story. Let's go to the rest stop, and find a place to talk about it." "Okay, let's go to the rest stop where I live and talk about it in detail." Also, did that merchant house kick you out just now because you didn't have enough spirit crystals? If he had not known Qian's identity, Ning Cheng would not have made such an unnecessary move. Qian was Pan Qian's sister. Regardless of whether they were related or not, he had to take care of this matter. If they didn't have enough spirit crystals, they could just not give her a teleportation spot. Why did they kick her out? Looking at Qian, she did not seem like someone who would take the initiative to cause trouble. "No." Qian hesitated. "Big brother, we can't afford to provoke them. That merchant house is very powerful. Just tell me the reason." Ning Cheng waved his hand. Not fighting back wasn't Ning Cheng's character. Qian gave an sound and said, "Because I couldn't collect 50 million spirit crystals. They said that I had to pay 10 million spirit crystals as a mortgage first. This mortgage was the prepayment for the teleportation spot. I had no choice but to pay 10 million spirit crystals. It took me many years to collect more than 10 million spirit crystals. So I went to them and asked them to give me a discount. They asked me to give them the spirit crystals I had on me. And then I continued to collect more spirit crystals. However, I didn't give them the spirit crystals. I just said that I wanted to take back my original 10 million spirit crystals, and that I planned to find someone else to help me. They said that if I didn't give back the spirit crystals, they would kick me out. I didn't dare to resist. Once I resisted, not only would I lose the 10 million spirit crystals, But I would also have to pay back the spirit crystals I had on me. Ning Cheng sneered. Sure enough, it was a scam. Don't worry, I'll go with you this time. After Ning Cheng finished, he turned around and walked towards the shop again. Big brother, you can't go. Qianqian anxiously called out to Ning Cheng. If Ning Cheng went like this, the two of them would be finished. Ning Cheng smiled. Don't worry, just come with me. By the way, did they give you any proof when you mortgaged it? Qianqian shook her head and said, No, but I secretly recorded the crystal ball. Ning Cheng spoke with satisfaction. Not bad, give me the crystal ball. Although Qianqian was weak and timid, she wasn't a fool. She had wandered here alone for many years, so her experience wasn't too bad. Because of this, she recorded it with the crystal ball. What are you doing here again? Did you collect all the spirit crystals? As soon as Ning Cheng and Qianqian walked into the merchant house, a Tao molding divine emperor sitting there drinking spirit tea frowned and said, opposite this Tao molding divine emperor was another Tao molding divine emperor. When Ning Cheng and Qianqian came in, he didn't even raise his head. He still elegantly picked up the jade cup in front of him and took a sip of spirit tea. Not yet. Qianqian just said 2 words when the Tao molding divine emperor roared. If not, then what are you doing here? Piss off, don't make me kick you out again. Ning Cheng stopped Qianqian, who wanted to say something, and said calmly, We haven't collected all the spirit crystals yet. We know it's very hard to collect them, so we don't plan to teleport here. We're going to take back the 10 million spirit crystals we originally mortgaged. You're quite bold, daring to come here and ask for spirit crystals. Do you think you're great just because you're strong? Piss off. The Tao molding divine emperor didn't even put Ning Cheng, a Tao nourishment divine emperor, in his eyes. However, before he could finish his sentence, he felt a terrifying pressure crashing down on him. Under this kind of pressure, he even found it difficult to breathe. The next moment he heard 2 crisp pawpaw sounds. Blood mist followed by more than 10 teeth flew out. The Tao molding divine emperor's cheeks were smashed into bones. Bang! Another kick landed on his chest. The Tao molding divine emperor felt his bones shatter inch by inch. He flew out of the merchant building. With a crack, the Tao molding divine emperor smashed through a huge tree on the opposite side of the street. He became paralyzed and stared at Ning Cheng in horror. He was a mid-stage Tao sculpting expert, but he didn't even have the ability to resist just now. He wanted to take out a pill to heal, but he felt his injuries couldn't be healed by pills. His broken bones contained traces of Taoist rhyme aura, and there was no way he could recover. You dare to attack here? The other Tao molding late stage couldn't sit still anymore. He stood up and stared at Ning Cheng in shock and fear. He said this, but his mind was on guard against Ning Cheng. He was afraid that Ning Cheng would suddenly attack him again. You should be glad that you were not the one who kicked that person a moment ago. Otherwise, I would have beaten you to the point that even your parents would not be able to recognize you. Ning Cheng lifted his foot and smashed the 2 cups of spiritual tea on the table in front of him. As he spoke in a thick voice, his spirit sense had already scanned that it was a Tao actualization divine emperor, so he didn't ask for help. A Tao actualization divine emperor couldn't do anything to him. The Tao actualization divine emperor walked to the door of the merchant building and picked up the paralyzed Tao molding middle stage cultivator before walking in. He glanced at Ning Cheng and Qianqian before putting down the Tao molding divine emperor and said coldly, My Infinite Circles Commerce Hall isn't a big commerce hall, but it's not a place anyone can bully. If you can't give my Infinite Circles Commerce Hall a satisfactory answer, you won't be able to walk out. Chapter 1060. Infinite Circle Commerce Hall was really big. My friend paid 10 million crystals here. Now, she can't get 50 million, so she can only take back the crystals and not teleport to the Great Change Realm for now. But this person not only didn't return the crystals, but also kicked my friend out. Therefore, I returned the kicks that he had given me back. Ning Cheng spoke in a calm manner. The Tao actualization divine emperor frowned and said heavily, Do you have proof? Infinite Circle Commerce Hall wasn't lenient towards solo cultivators who wanted God crystals. Usually they wouldn't give out proof either. The Tao Actualization Divine Emperor asked this because he wanted to know if Ning Cheng and Qianqian had proof that they paid 10 million God crystals. If they didn't have proof, then they wouldn't be able to get it back. Ning Cheng made a copy of Qianqian's crystal ball and threw it to the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor. The proof is in this crystal ball. The Tao Actualization Divine Emperor grabbed the crystal ball and scanned his spirit sense in. He immediately saw the image of Qianqian paying the God crystals. He was very angry at who took the God crystals and let them carve the crystal ball. Infinite Circle Commerce Hall was a big business. A solo cultivator paying 10 million God crystals would be used by their subordinates as extra income. Qianqian didn't have 50 million God crystals. Even if she did, Qianqian wouldn't be able to get a teleportation spot with 50 million. Unless she had a certain background, she wouldn't be able to take out 50 million God crystals at once. The thing in the crystal ball might be fake. I need to check it. The quality of the crystal ball isn't good either. I just scanned it with my spirit sense, and it cracked. As he spoke, the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor threw the crystal ball to Ning Cheng. Before Ning Cheng could grab the crystal ball, it turned to dust. Ning Cheng didn't mind and turned to Qianqian. In that case, we'll come back next time. It wasn't that he was afraid of this Tao Actualization Divine Emperor, but he wanted to be reasonable first. Ning Cheng was almost certain that this Tao Actualization Divine Emperor wouldn't let him leave easily. As soon as Ning Cheng said this, the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor sneered. You beat someone in my merchant tower and you're going to leave? In fact, it was your merchant house who made the first move. If it wasn't for the Infinite Circles Commerce Hall's people who made the first move against my friend Qianqian, I wouldn't have come here to make a move against her. Could it be that you can hit us, but we can't fight back? Let's take a step back for now, and not take the spirit crystals for the time being. Isn't that enough? Ning Cheng cupped his fists and continued to dig holes. Since this matter had gotten out of hand, he needed to stand on the side of reason first. The other party looked down on him and Qianqian. This kind of pit was the easiest to dig. Everyone could see the cowardice in Ning Cheng's tone. The Tao Actualization Divine Emperor said coldly, "It doesn't matter if what you said was fake or the truth. Since you beat someone in my Infinite Circles Commerce Hall, don't even think about leaving. Hand over the ring, cripple your own cultivation and scram." "Oh, does that mean that your Myriad Realms business house should beat people up?" Ning Cheng asked with some anger. He actually wanted the other party to say that my Infinite Circles Commerce Hall deserved to beat you up. What can you do to me? But this Tao Actualization Divine Emperor was very cunning. Despite guessing that Ning Cheng had no background, he didn't say that. Instead, he argued, "I didn't see if my Infinite Circles Commerce Hall beat anyone up. However, I saw you heavily injure someone from my Infinite Circles Commerce Hall. Let's go." Ning Cheng couldn't dig anymore, so he turned and left. How could the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor let Ning Cheng go? He raised his hand and punched towards Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng opened his hand, and the Void Cold Ray Spear appeared in his hand. At the same time, he stabbed out with it. Streaks of ice-cold spear traces suddenly distorted the entire void, and the space in this place turned illusory. With an explosion, the spear runes of the Void Cold Ray Spear turned corporeal, and clashed with the other party's punch. Powerful Tao runes spread out and God essence kept on exploding in the twisted space. Crash. With just one attack, the merchant house was turned into ruins. Under Ning Cheng's deliberate action, a powerful killing intent and spatial fluctuations spread out. In just an instant, most people in the Five Realms Void Marketplace knew that someone had started a fight in the Five Realms Void Marketplace. This Tao Actualization Divine Emperor saw the merchant house explode. He was shocked and furious. He didn't expect Ning Cheng to be this bold. He dared to use his Tao runes and killing intent in the Five Realms Void Marketplace. What shocked him even more was that Ning Cheng was only a Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor, but his cultivation level wasn't any weaker than him. He didn't use his full power, but who knew if Ning Cheng used his full power? Ning Cheng was overjoyed. The Void Cold Ray Spear was indeed powerful. He only used a small part of it, and it actually released such power. Ning Cheng was certain that he didn't even need to use the 5-color Star Splitter arrow to kill this Tao Actualization Divine Emperor. He just needed this void cold ray spear. He didn't even need to use 7 bridges divine art. Ningqing shook the void cold ray spear and spear runes automatically formed. You're courting death. You dare to do this in the merchant house of the 5 realms void marketplace? This Tao actualization divine emperor's face turned livid. If he knew that Ningqing was this bold and powerful, he wouldn't have attacked Ningqing in the merchant house. As long as Ningqing was in the 5 realms void marketplace, he had 10,000 ways to kill Ningqing. There was no need to attack him directly. You still don't know who's courting death? Eat my spear again. Ningqing shot out another spear. This spear was completely different from the previous spear. If the previous spear was just a space spirit art and spear runes killing intent, then this spear was Ningqing's time law spirit art. Ever since he cultivated in the tree ring for a few years, Ningqing's understanding of time law had deepened. He could have used sunset's dusk to stop time in an instant. After comprehending the time Tao runes in the tree ring, Ningqing's time law spirit art completely stopped time. This was the true control of heaven and earth law. Even if it was just for an instant, it could take the opponent's life. The cold void light spear transformed into a cold shadow. This cold shadow looked ordinary, but it pierced out just like that. After this cold shadow pierced out, time seemed to have stopped. Within the range of the cold ray spear's Tao runes, the entire space seemed to have frozen. This Tao actualization divine emperor only faced this frozen world. In this frozen world, he could feel the terrifying killing intent in the world. At this moment he could no longer hold back the fear in his heart. His entire god essence and spirit sense started to go berserk. When the spear of death arrived at his forehead, he barely dodged it by a sliver. Splurge! Blood splashed out. The void cold ray spear brushed past this Tao actualization divine emperor's forehead and blasted a gash in his head. Luckily, this Tao actualization divine emperor burned his god essence like crazy before Ningqing could use this spear. He broke free from the frozen time law and avoided the fate of his forehead being blasted apart. The world returned to normal. This Tao actualization divine emperor also retreated 100 meters and stared at Ningqing. He even forgot to heal himself. A Tao nourishment divine emperor used time law to affect him and almost killed him. Just how terrifying was this Tao nourishment divine emperor? Ningqing sighed in pity. If his god essence was stronger, even if he was at Tao nourishment middle stage, this spear would have killed him. However, Ningqing didn't let it go. He stepped forward and the void cold ray spear turned into endless spear runes. Killing intent spread out. This Tao actualization divine emperor quickly took out his magic artifact and felt a sliver of coldness in his heart. Stop. A terrifying pressure suddenly descended, accompanied by a powerful backlash. Ningqing felt as if his 5 viscera and 6 bowels were about to be torn apart. He quickly put away the void cold light spear and frantically retreated. After this terrifying pressure, a gray figure appeared not far from the opposite side of Ningqing. Even though he didn't attack Ningqing, that aura that made Ningqing feel like he couldn't even breathe still came crashing over. This was definitely a Tao essence divine emperor. Just when Ningqing wanted to find someone to help, the pressure around him lessened. When Ningqing saw Xichen Qiutian and Lu Dongsa come over together, he felt relieved. Infinite Circles Commerce Hall's Zhong Shuguang greets Association Master Kong. Association Master Lu. Association Master Xichen. The divine emperor who used his aura to suppress Ningqing quickly cupped his fists. He had just finished greeting when a few figures with powerful auras landed. Seeing these figures come over, Zhong Shuguang could only continue to greet them. At this moment, Ningqing discovered that Kong Lianbua had also come. Behind Kong Lianbua, there were several powerful figures. Sure enough, even a little thing that happened in the 5 realms void city couldn't be hidden from these people. Ningqing also saw that the guy who used his aura to suppress him was indeed a Tao essence divine emperor. He wore a gray cultivator robe and had a sinister look on his face. Lu Dongsa and Xichen Qiutian didn't speak. Even though this place was called the 5 Realms Void City, strictly speaking, it was Kong Lianbua's territory. Kong Lianbua asked in a calm tone. Tao friend Zhong, you're a Tao essence expert of the Infinite Circles Commerce Hall. Why would you attack Ningqing? A Dao nourishment pill saint. Hearing Kong Lianbo call him a pill saint, Ningqing knew that Kong Lianbo was pressuring him. Ningqing? Dao nourishment pill saint? Zhong Shuguang was dumbfounded. To be honest, he still didn't know the reason. However, since Ningqing attacked a Dao transformation divine emperor of the Infinite Circle's Commerce Hall, he naturally wouldn't let it go. Zhong Shuguang didn't need Kong Lianbo to explain. He quickly understood. Wasn't Ningqing the pill refiner who had won against Lu Dongsa during the pill refinement battle? Why would the Infinite Circle's Commerce Hall fight with Ningqing? Qi Meng, what's going on? Zhong Shuguang stared at the Dao transformation divine emperor injured by Ningqing with a gloomy expression. No matter how strong the Infinite Circle's Commerce Hall was, it couldn't fight against so many Realm Pill Association masters. He had heard that after Ningqing defeated Lu Dongsa, he performed very gracefully and won the friendship of many Pill Association masters and Pill Saints. Did the Infinite Circle's Commerce Hall not want to stay in the Five Realms Void City anymore? Chapter 1061. How could Qi Meng care about healing at this time? He also understood Ningqing's origin. At this moment, he only had hatred in his heart. Since you're Ningqing, why didn't you just report your origin earlier? Who else in the Five Realms Void Marketplace is more famous than Ningqing? Qi Meng had wronged Ningqing. Ningqing never thought that he would be so famous. If he knew that signing up could solve the problem, he wouldn't have caused such a ruckus. This Dao friend came to my Infinite Circle's Commerce Hall and said that we owed him 10 million God crystals. He couldn't produce any valid evidence, and even injured a Dao molding divine emperor of my Infinite Circle's Commerce Hall. Because of this, I fought with him. If Deacon Zhong hadn't arrived in time, I'm afraid I would have died. Qi Meng could only find a reason to stand his ground at this time. At this point, it was no longer a matter of who was stronger. When Qi Meng said this, neither Kong Lianbo nor Lu Dongsa could speak. If this was really the case, then they could at most help Ningqing keep his life. However, everyone here knew that things wouldn't be so simple. If Ningqing wasn't an idiot, he wouldn't be stupid enough to blackmail the Infinite Circle's Commerce Hall. 10 million God crystals were a lot, but it wouldn't be enough for an alchemist like Ningqing to think about. Seeing everyone looking at him, Ningqing took out a crystal ball and threw it into the air. The image in the crystal ball was instantly seen by everyone, from Qi Meng entering the Myriad Realms business house, to Ningqing giving Qi Meng the crystal ball as evidence, to Qi Meng destroying the crystal ball, and the conversation between the two of them. Moreover, Ningqing took the initiative to retreat, but Qi Meng stopped him. He even asked Ningqing to hand over his storage ring, and then abolish his cultivation. Asking a cultivator to hand over their storage ring and abolish their cultivation was an irreconcilable hatred. What's more, the reason why the two of them fought was because Qi Meng attacked first. From this crystal ball, Qi Meng could be said to be bullying people. Seeing that Ningqing even recorded the crystal ball, Qi Meng's face turned green. He finally understood why Ningqing acted so lowly before. It turned out that this person was digging a hole. Fortunately, he wasn't stupid enough to say that the Infinite Circle's Commerce Hall deserved to beat him up. Otherwise, he would be dead for sure. Seeing the image in the crystal ball, Zhong Shuguang's expression also turned ugly. He cupped his fists towards Ningqing and said, "My Myriad Circle's Commerce Hall is in the wrong in this matter. Whether we have evidence or not, my Myriad Circle's Commerce Hall will pay for the 10 million spirit crystals." Ningqing didn't answer. Instead, he raised his hand and threw out another crystal ball. This crystal ball contained the image of Qianqian paying the spirit crystals as collateral. Without backing up the evidence, Ningqing was not stupid enough to hand over the evidence to his opponent. After the image in the crystal ball finished playing, Ningqing spoke up with a cold voice. "I'm not shameless enough to extort 10 million spirit crystals. The Myriad Circle's Commerce Chamber of Commerce must be a big chamber of commerce, but it's hard to believe that they would do such a thing." Zhong Shuguang was equally angry in his heart, but this time he was not angry at Qi Meng, but rather at Ningqing. Unfortunately, with so many powerhouses here, he did not dare to do anything to Ningqing. "My Infinite Circle's Commerce Hall will compensate you with 50 million divine crystals. Zhong Shuguang said with a cold tone. Saying that, he directly threw a ring towards Ningcheng. After this incident, the reputation of the Infinite Circle's Commerce Chamber had completely ruined. In the past, even if the Infinite Circle's Commerce Chamber ran out of spirit crystals, no one dared to say it to Ningcheng in front of the public. Ningcheng grabbed the ring and grabbed 10 million spirit crystals from it before throwing the rest of the spirit crystals back to Zhong Shuguang along with the ring. We only want our own spirit crystals. The rest of the spirit crystals aren't ours, and I don't care about them. Ningcheng put the 10 million spirit crystals into a ring and handed it to the surprised Qianqian next to him. These are your spirit crystals. You can keep them. Zhong Shuguang put away the ring, but his expression turned even uglier. Ningcheng's words meant that no matter how many spirit crystals his Infinite Circle's Commerce Chamber had, most of it was ill-gotten gains. Knowing that Ningcheng deliberately wanted to drug the Infinite Circle's Commerce Chamber, he couldn't refute it. Since the matter has been resolved, I won't keep Pill Master Ning here. Zhong Shuguang put away his anger and spoke in an even colder tone. At this moment, Ningcheng suddenly received Kong Lianbua's voice transmission. The Infinite Circle's Commerce Chamber trades all kinds of teleportation quotas. If Pill Master Ning's friend wants to go to the Grand Change Realm, you don't have to look for the Infinite Circle's Commerce Chamber. Just come with us to the Grand Change Realm in 3 days. Just as he was about to doze off, Kong Lianbua sent him a pillow. Ningcheng admired Kong Lianbua's subtle observation and judgment while quickly thanking him. As everyone dispersed, Ningcheng cupped his fist towards Lu Dongsa and said, I wanted to ask Association Master Lu a few questions, but I met my friend on the way. Lu Dongsa waved his hand. Dao friend Ning can come to me at any time. I've been discussing the Tao of Alchemy with Association Master Sichen in my residence for the past few days, and I've gained a lot. Lu Dongsa's Tao of Alchemy was a few levels higher than Sichen Qiutian's. Therefore Lu Dongsa said this to give face to Sichen Qiutian. As soon as Ningcheng returned to the rest stop with Qianqian, Qianqian bowed to Ningcheng. Big brother Ning, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have gotten back those 10 million spirit crystals. After Ningcheng let Qianqian sit down, he spoke up directly. You don't have to say this. Pan Qian and I have a life and death friendship, so it's only right for me to help you. Can you tell me what happened to Shi? I heard from Pan Qian that Shi is dead. Qianqian's eyes turned red. Big brother Pan Qian left the Grand Change Realm tens of thousands of years ago. Because big brother Pan Qian came from the giant clan, and his clan has the ancient giant bloodline. After the ancient bloodline leaked, countless people became envious and wanted to obtain the bloodline inheritance of the ancient giant clan. Big brother Pan Qian is the one with the most complete bloodline inheritance among the ancient giant clan, and his bloodline is even purer. Ningcheng was no longer an ignorant person. No matter what kind of ancient bloodline it was a supreme treasure with extreme perception and cultivation capabilities. Whether it was cultivation, body forging, or spirit techniques, it was unparalleled. Pan Qian had the ancient giant bloodline, which made people envious. Later, in order to protect big brother Pan Qian, the giant clan left behind the purest bloodline inheritance and desperately fought against those invaders. In the end, the giant clan was too weak and was killed. Big brother Pan Qian was saved by big sister Shi, and has been following me and big sister Shi ever since. Until one day big sister Shi said that she was going to reincarnate, and asked big brother Pan Qian to leave the Grand Change Realm. When he cultivated to 10,000 feet, he would go back to the Grand Change Realm to see if he could find her reincarnated body. 10,000 feet. Ningcheng asked in surprise. When he saw Pan Qian was already 10 feet tall. To be honest, Ningcheng had never seen such a huge body before. What would he look like when he reached 10,000 feet in the future? Qianqian quickly explained. Big brother Pan Qian's cultivation method awakened on his own. Cultivating to 10,000 feet doesn't mean that he's really 10,000 feet tall, but when he condensed the ancient giant's Tao charm, he would have a 10,000 feet real body. With a 10,000 feet real body, he wouldn't have to fear even Tao fusion powerhouses. When he didn't condense the ancient giant's Tao charm, big brother Pan Qian was only about 10 feet tall. Ningcheng thought back to when he saw Pan Qian. Pan Qian was more than 10 feet tall. From this, Ningcheng understood that Pan Qian's strength had suffered too much damage and couldn't restrain his ancient giant's Dao charm. Pan Qian most likely didn't want to worry him, so he didn't say anything. After understanding this, Ningcheng started to worry about Pan Qian. In Pan Qian's current state, even if he returned to the Grand Change Realm, he would only be courting death. But Ningcheng believed that Pan Qian wouldn't be so stupid. After experiencing so many things, he should know what to do. Besides, Pan Qian had Shen Mingyan by his side. Shen Mingyan should be able to persuade Pan Qian. After sending big brother Pan Qian away, big sister Xi'er also sent me away. She said that she wanted to disperse her corporeal body in the place where she had cultivated, and then reincarnate. She didn't want anyone to disturb her. I thought it was true because big sister Xi'er's cultivation method really did need reincarnation after reaching the extreme. Qianqian lowered her head and started sobbing. Ningcheng felt even more uneasy. He feared that Xi'er didn't want to reincarnate but lied to Qianqian and Pan Qian. Sure enough, Qianqian continued. After I left big sister Xi'er, I became a rogue cultivator. Until 10,000 years ago, I teamed up with a few people to train in the Grand Change Realm's underground abyss. When I accidentally entered the depths of the underground abyss, I vaguely saw big sister Xi'er's figure. She was nailed to a thick blood pillar, suppressing something with her corporeal body. It's just that my strength was too limited. That figure was vague, and before it could get close, it was swept away by the violent underground wind. When I wanted to go back, I couldn't go back. I tried everything, but I couldn't see big sister Xi'er again. I didn't know any powerhouses in the Grand Change Realm, and even if I did, I didn't dare to ask for help. I could only go to big brother Pan Qian. I didn't expect to be left in the Five Realms Void City, unable to advance or retreat. Over the years, my cultivation has regressed from the Dao Birth Realm to the Dao Sculpting Realm. Maybe after a while, I will no longer know what Dao is. Are you sure that's she? Ningcheng's tone turned cold. Pan Qian's kindness was influenced by Xi'er. From this, it could be seen how kind Xi'er was. How could he bear such a person being used as something purely to suppress dirt? Ningcheng naturally understood the meaning of pure suppression. It was to use the purest body, essence, spirit, and soul to suppress things that couldn't see the light of day. When he saw An Yi's statue, it was also a kind of pure suppression. After seeing An Yi's statue, he took it away without hesitation. Qianqian nodded while crying. I'm sure I didn't see it wrong. Even if it was just a vague glance, I'm sure that it was big sister Xi'er. Since it's pure suppression, Xi'er won't die so quickly. After we go to the Grand Change Realm, we can find a way. At that time, you can take me to the underground abyss. Ningcheng quickly calmed down. The person who could nail Xi'er to the underground abyss to suppress dirt definitely wasn't a simple person. This matter was different from the Myriad Realms Commerce Hall's matter. Even if he wanted to save people, he had to be careful. Chapter 1062. What kind of place is that underground abyss? Was everyone allowed to participate in the trial? Also, Xi'er was suppressed in the underground abyss. Can you guess who did it? Ningcheng asked again. The Great Change Realm was not only the first realm among the 5 great realms, but it was also the realm with the perfect laws of heaven and earth. One could imagine how many experts there were in the Great Change Realm. If he wanted to go to the underground abyss, he had to first figure out what kind of place the underground abyss was and who the experts he would be facing were. Qianqian sorted out her thoughts and said, I heard that the underground abyss appeared after the great changes of the 5 realms. Except for the Great Change Realm, the other 4 realms were fragmented due to the great changes, and the laws were incomplete. It was also at that time that an underground abyss appeared in the westernmost corner of the Great Change Realm. In the beginning, the underground abyss was just a collection of demonic creatures formed from the filthy air underground. Some cultivators entered the underground abyss to train. These demonic creatures lived in filthy places, absorbing the filthy aura of heaven and earth, but they could produce a very pure demon crystal. This kind of demon crystal contained clear laws of heaven and earth. Some people could even make use of the heaven and earth law aura contained in these demonic crystals to comprehend a higher level of Tao aura and advance. Because of this, high-level devil crystals in the underground abyss are as precious as Tao fruits. No one cares about these underground monsters? Qianqian shook her head. In the beginning, some experts went in, but they soon realized that these demonic creatures posed no threat at all. In addition, the laws of heaven and earth of those demonic crystals were relatively low, so they couldn't attract those experts. Hence, they didn't bother with them anymore. But many years later, the demonic creatures underground became stronger and stronger. In the end, they even rushed out of the ground and almost destroyed a Tao court. Only under such circumstances did people enter the underground abyss to suppress the demonic creatures. I didn't know how they did it until I saw Sister Shi-Er's body nailed to the blood pillar in the underground abyss. Only then did I understand how bloody their suppression was. At this point, Qianqian could no longer hold back her tears. Ningqing couldn't help but sigh in his heart. He had not seen Shi-Er nailed to the blood pillar to suppress the filthy demonic creature, but he could imagine how miserable it must have been. He thought back to when he first saw Panqian. Panqian was also locked in the void and was constantly being sacrificed. He wondered if what had happened to Panqian and Shi-Er had been done by the same person. After a while, Qianqian stopped grieving. After those powerful monsters are suppressed, only some low-level monsters are outside the blood pillar. The Great Change Realm allowed people to go down and find these demonic creatures to train. One reason was to increase the strength of the Great Change Realm, and the other was to suppress the eruption of the demonic creatures in the underground abyss. As for who suppressed Big Sister Shi-Er, I don't know either. My guess is that it was either the Tao courts or the Tao sects. Back then, when the ancient giant clan was in trouble, Big Sister Shi-Er helped to save Big Brother Panqian. It's hard to guarantee that no one will know about it. Qianqian, what is the Tao court? A force? Ningqing asked in confusion when he heard Qianqian mention the Tao court twice. Qianqian answered in detail. The Tao court is also a force. There are 5 major Tao courts and 3 major Tao sects in the Great Change Realm. Other than that, only the Elixir Association, the Weapon Association, and a place called the Seven God Palace can compare with these places. Knowing that Ningqing didn't understand the Great Change Realm, Qianqian continued to explain. The 5 major Tao courts refer to the Cloud Light Tao Court, the Jade Clear Tao Court, the Glazed Pearl Tao Court, the Yahua Tao Court, and the Great Mystery Tao Court. The 3 major Tao sects refer to the Covering Space Tao Sect, the Thousand Buddha Sacred Tao Sect, and the Formless Tao Sect. The Tao courts are actually similar to sects, but they are much bigger. Each Tao court has a Tao Lord, and the Tao Lord is supported by many powerful holy emperors. In addition, there is also an army of cultivators. Each Tao court is like a plane, and there are countless sects and clans under it. Ningqing already understood what a Tao court was. To put it simply, it was equivalent to a country, similar to the Heavenly Court in ancient China. Since it was a force like the Heavenly Court, the 5 Tao courts must have fought in the Great Change Realm. Do the 5 Tao courts often fight each other? Ningqing immediately asked. As long as there were fights, it would be easy to deal with them. What he feared the most was that they were united, which would make it difficult for him to act. Although he was asking Qianqian, Ningqing had already confirmed that there were fights. Where there are people, there would be jianghu. This sentence was applicable everywhere. Yes, there are often fights between the 5 major Tao courts, as well as between the Tao courts and the Tao sects. On the contrary, the Pill Association and the Equipment Association rarely fight with these forces. On the contrary, most of the Tao courts and Tao sects are related. Qianqian nodded. After some conversation, Ningqing learned a lot about the Great Change Realm from Qianqian. However, Qianqian's information was from 10,000 years ago. Qianqian didn't know if the current situation in the Great Change Realm was the same as 10,000 years ago. Ningqing didn't ask Kong Lianbua. Kong Lianbua was the Deputy Association Master of the Great Change Pill Association, and had a lot of entanglements with the Tao courts and Tao sects. Ningqing didn't want to ask Kong Lianbua about this kind of thing. 3 days passed by in a flash. Kong Lianbua and several other association masters brought many alchemists participating in the Five Realms Pill competition to the teleportation array to the Great Change Realm. The Five Realms Pill competition has always been a grand event for our Five Realms. Although many Dao friends know that the teleportation array from the Five Realms Void City to the Great Change Realm has very high spatial laws, I still have to remind you before the teleportation. That is, do not bring people through the teleportation array in your miniature world or true spirit world. Once such a thing happens, your miniature world or true spirit world will be crushed. The people inside won't be able to survive either. Before stepping onto the teleportation formation, Kong Lianbua cautioned them in detail. The alchemists here had seen the world. Therefore, no one was stupid enough to think that it would be easy to teleport people into the Great Change Realm from another world. Ningqing didn't care about it. No matter how high the spatial laws of this teleportation array were, it couldn't be higher than the laws of his mysterious yellow world. Yanji was in his mysterious yellow bead, and wouldn't be affected at all. As for Qianqian, Kong Lianbua agreed to send her through the teleportation array. Kong Lianbua, as the Deputy Association Master of the Great Change Realm Pill Association, had the ability to do so. There were more than 100 alchemists in front of the teleportation array, not including the alchemists from the Great Change Realm participating in the Five Realms Pill competition. Apart from the Great Essence Realm, which only had 6 participants, the Great Ultimate Realm, which had the fewest participants, had 12 participants. Both the Great Beginning Realm and the Great Beginning Realm had about 30 or 40 participants. As for the Great Change Realm, the number of alchemists participating in the Five Realms Pill competition had reached more than 100. After everyone boarded the teleportation array, Kong Lianbua took out 2 array flags and brought them out. The teleportation array suddenly gave off a roar, and the edges of the array flickered with black light. Before the teleportation array even started, Ningqing felt a strong spatial collapse. As more and more black light gathered, the spatial collapse swept everyone away. Even Ningqing felt dizzy after such a long-distance teleportation. When he opened his eyes, he knew that he had arrived at the Great Change Realm. A powerful and perfect aura of laws emerged, and Ningqing immediately noticed some flaws in the spirit technique he had comprehended before. It was a feeling that couldn't be expressed in words. This was the aura of heaven and earth laws. Ningqing didn't know if the Great Change Realm's heaven and earth laws were complete or not, but he was sure that the Great Change Realm's heaven and earth laws were far more complete than the Great Essence Realms. After all the alchemists walked out of the teleportation array, Kong Lianbua brought out an airship and said, "Dao friends, the Five Realms Pill competition will take place in the Great Change Alchemy City. The Great Change Alchemy City doesn't belong to any Dao court. You can come with me to the Great Change Alchemy City or leave alone. However, you must arrive at the Great Change Alchemy City in 3 months." Ningqing quickly said, "Union Master Kong, my friend has to go back and have a look. I won't go to the Great Change Alchemy City for the time being. After 3 months, I will definitely return to the Great Change Alchemy City to participate in the pill competition." "Of course," Kong Lianbua said with a smile. He had a good impression of Ningqing. After Ningqing thanked him, he greeted Si Chun, Qiu Tian, and Lu Dongsa before quickly leaving with Qianqian. The teleportation array from the Five Realms Void City to the Great Change Realm was built in the Great Change Realm's Yuanyuan Sacred Dao City. Yuanyuan Sacred Dao City, like the Great Change Alchemy City, didn't belong to any Dao court or sect. Although it was a neutral sacred city, it didn't seem to be prosperous. Most people would leave in a hurry after arriving here, and just treat it as a temporary place to stay. According to Qianqian, the spirit qi in the Yuanyuan Sacred Dao City was very weak, and it was difficult to gather spirit qi. Therefore, few people were willing to live in this place. Ningqing brought out an airship and quickly left the Yuanyuan Sacred Dao City with Qianqian, and stepped into the Great Change Realm. Only then did Ningqing understand the meaning of Pan Qian's words. Pan Qian had never been to the Great Change Realm, or rather, he didn't dare to go to the Great Change Realm at all. Pan Qian's impression of the Great Change Realm came from Shi Er's words. In his eyes, the Great Change Realm was filled with pure and rich spirit qi, Dao charm and treasures. It was a paradise for cultivators. Ningqing didn't see any treasures, But the spirit chi here wasn't something the great essence realm could compare to. Not only was the spirit chi pure and rich, but the vast and boundless laws of heaven and earth also made people feel relaxed and happy. Moreover, this was just a place where the spirit chi in the Great Change realm was relatively weak. Not many people came here. This really is a paradise for cultivators. Ningqing thought of this and spoke up with emotion. In his heart, he started to think about the 5 powerful spirit techniques of the 5 great realms, and how powerful the formless Tai I was. The formless Tai I not only ranked first among the 5 great spirit techniques, but it also ranked in the top 3 among the top 10 spirit techniques in the vast universe. From this, one could see how powerful the formless Tai I was. The shallow cloud villa where I live with big sister Shi, the spirit chi there is much better than here. Not only is it beautiful, Qianqian said as she thought of Shir. Ningqing asked, how long will it take to get to the shallow cloud villa from here? If we can make it, let's go to the shallow cloud villa first. You're tuning in to the Limei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.